It's no secret that Generation 7 of the Pokemon franchise, the Sun and Moon era, brings us both to one of the most interesting settings for a region yet, and also changes up the formula for what Pokemon can be, leading to a divide among the fan base. For the video games, gone was the traditional structure of gym leaders, as we get different island trials and trial captains that have similarities to gym leaders, but one of the main events was to have a battle with different totem Pokemon, which are larger in size and more powerful versions of the Pokemon normally. With the newest region, the Alola region, being based on the islands of Hawaii, we end up with a completely unique area that makes you wish you were on vacation right this second, as well as building upon traditions natively from that area that are really exciting to learn about. Now, the biggest difference here for the anime itself is that the art style has changed along with the overall tone and genre. While it can still fall under the action and adventure category, Pokemon Sun and Moon brings in a very different vibe found within the slice of life genre. Basically, that allows the anime to have more moments of downtime from the action, giving it time to establish the area and characters in great detail, with more emphasis on the day-to-day lives of those we focus on, instead of just constantly moving forward in the adventure. Just like how each generation of the franchise serves as a jumping-on point for new fans to get into Pokemon, this series is able to be viewed as individual parts and a part of the full multiple video series. So join along as we document how Ash has evolved into who he becomes by the end of it all, venturing down a nostalgia-driven road, whether you are a veteran fan or a newcomer to the franchise. Some may love this, some may hate this, but Sun and Moon sure was an interesting little era for the franchise that tried to shake up the formula and be something a bit different from the norm. With the generation following this changing things up again as well, the Sun and Moon era stands out for being and feeling so different in every aspect of the franchise. So today, continuing on our complete guide to Ash's Pokemon journey, we get to have a taste of a little more relaxed adventure in the Alola region. But maybe there is some more under the surface in store throughout this adventure that makes everything more exciting than it originally appears. Welcome to part 7 of the journey. Where we last left off on Ash's journey, we had just made our way through the Kalos region, where Ash had his most mature season yet, from the growth that he displays as a trainer to the way he works with his Pokemon in battle, finding his most powerful connection with a Pokemon aside from Pikachu with his Greninja, forming a special bond that created Ash Greninja, as we had new challenges for Ash to face, from facing off against the power of Mega Evolutions, to becoming a mentor and guide for another trainer to help them become stronger, to nearly becoming the champion of the Kalos League, and even having a place in helping save the entire world from the ultimate chaos being unleashed by the region's evil organization. But none of those compared to the most unfamiliar challenge he had to face yet, and that was love. Well, kind of. Ash's relationship with a girl named Serena helped bring out a lot of Ash's past before becoming a full-on Pokemon trainer, along with his ideals being the guiding force for someone else to truly be inspired by. Even in the end, he is given a kiss and a vow that this person will seek out Ash again in the future at a more mature moment in both of their lives. So with Ash now having saved the entire world, and at his most powerful yet, maybe it's time for a vacation. So the Alola region seems like a solid place to visit, but you know what else sounds perfect for a vacation? School. Yeah, we got a lot to get into for the Sun and Moon era, so let's jump into it. After Ash returned home from the Kalos region, he was able to get some R&R when he appears now to be on vacation in the Alola region along with his mom and her Mr. Mime, Mimey. Our opening moments in the series has Ash riding on a Sharpedo, having fun and essentially getting a tour of the wildlife in the area, showcasing a ton of new Pokemon brand new to the series through this generation. After a little bit of time and one burst of fire from a Litten directly to Ash's face, we learn that Mimey actually helped them win this vacation, with Ash leaving his most recent team of Pokemon, minus Pikachu, back home with Professor Oak once more. They were also given a task from the professor to bring an egg to the Pokemon school in the area to Samson Oak, the professor's cousin. In the meantime, Ash gets distracted and separated from his mom when he has to deal with several new Pokemon causing him some pain or giving chase to him, leading him to a Tauros riding area to which he gets trampled by them. He just can't catch a break. But he does partially meet some new faces we'll see throughout the series, realizing that he has somehow stumbled his way to the Pokemon school he was heading to with his mom anyways, getting a chance to meet Lana, Mallow, Sophocles, and Lily, with Mallow bringing Ash to meet with the principal as they believe he is a new student, as the principal is none other than Samson Oak, who looks just like Professor Oak but tanner and more relaxed. Wow, I didn't know you were chill like that.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Grubbin!
Later on, the egg is given to Samson as Ash is able to clear up that he isn't a student there at all, and he was just on a mission to help deliver that egg, as Mallow stops by to ask if she can continue giving Ash the tour walking him around the campus. To Ash's excitement to want to learn more about the school, we meet the main teacher and professor for the region, Professor Kukui. This gets quickly interrupted when Ash outside sees another trainer and his Charizard getting bothered by the local bad guy group Team Skull, forcing a battle to happen. Continuing that force, pushing a deal on him as well, claiming to take his Charizard if he loses, as they then send out a bunch of Pokemon. Ash rushes to jump into the unfair fight as Ash meets the trainer, Kiawe, who claims not to need any help from him. Regardless, Ash still jumps in, sending out Pikachu as Kiawe sends out his Turtonator. Ash's skills with Pikachu in terms of speed and power end up impressing all of the students, along with a mysterious unknown Pokemon watching secretly from afar. Kiawe takes control of the rest of the battle, activating a crystal in a device that's on his wrist that allows his Turtonator to perform a special powerful move called Inferno Overdrive that defeats all of the Team Skull Pokemon at once, sending the group running away for now. Ash is in awe of what Kiawe just did, with the professor coming up to him to explain that what he witnessed was a Z move, a special move that gets earned and passed down to trainers after completing island challenges across the 4 Alola Islands. Ash thinks that this is really cool as he gets distracted by noticing the mysterious Pokemon above fly away. Once he describes the look of the Pokemon, the others are interested in how Ash got to see this Pokemon, as they explain that the Pokemon he saw was the guardian of Mele Mele Island, Tapu Koko. For now though, Ash heads back out with his mom, enjoying a night out in the area eating some dinner, as he quickly becomes distracted again thanks to him seeing Tapu Koko once more, running after it to meet face to face with it in the woods. Ash then gets given a familiar device that resembles the one that Kiawe was wearing, called a Z-Ring, that allowed for the Z move to take place, with the guardian of the island allowing Ash to take it and put it on before it flies away for now. Along with that, a special crystal that goes inside. Ash is super interested in learning more about this region, the mysteries that it holds, the power of the Z moves, and more, being able to stay behind as his mother and Mimey head back home to Pallet Town, with Ash becoming enrolled in the Pokemon school. The next day, Ash races Pikachu in excitement to the school as we begin our newest adventure in the Alola region. With all of the students having their own lives going on and in school, different tasks that they are focusing on, the professor walks in alongside Ash, reintroducing him to the class and telling the others that Ash will be joining as a student now. Kiawe and the others notice that Ash has a Z-Ring, along with the Z crystal known as Electrium Z, with Kiawe questioning how he would end up with both of those in the first place. Ash goes into how they were given to him from Tapu Koko, explaining how it all happened as they react in shock to an almost unbelievable story. Lily brings up some lore about Tapu Koko, who has this thing for helping out certain travelers, but sometimes it's not always as it seems, having a trickster side to its personality. Of course, Ash is excited to unlock the power of Z moves, just like how he witnessed Kiawe did, much to the annoyance of Kiawe here, who had to work hard and complete trials to earn the right to have this. He mentions that there is a responsibility to those who have access to Z moves, as Ash says he'll do his best, not really knowing what that fully means. It's the first day of school for Ash, and it's time for his first lesson, with Samson Oak coming in to teach about regional variants of Pokemon, using Executor and Alolan Executor, with the latter being introduced in the Sun and Moon generation, despite being accidentally made a reality in March of 1997 on the cover of the Japanese Pokemon Jungle Booster box. Yeah, nearly 20 years earlier. But aside from that, Ash learns about this and how the variants, aside from looking different yet similar, can also be completely different typings, as this tall skinny tree is technically a dragon type, and Charizard isn't. Sorry, you orange lizard. The next day, the others at school throw a surprise party for Ash, much to his excitement, with Sophocles offering Ash a friendly battle, or at least that's what Ash thought he meant, but really it was a challenge. Who can pop the most balloons with their Pokemon's attacks, with his Togedemaru not only getting the lead, but then absorbing Pikachu's Thunderbolt and using it for itself to pop the rest, winning the challenge. But the challenges aren't over yet, as Lana challenges Ash to a race with her Poplio that is unfairly able to win. But for another race, Kiawe challenges Ash to a Tauros race, and Ash loses once more. Ash may know how to battle, but he sure can't hang when it comes to these random challenges thrown his way. During a break for some food, Ash notices Tapu Koko come back around, with Ash thinking it is for the Z-Ring, as it then takes Ash's hat that is part of his trademark Hat Kid look and flies off, with Ash chasing after it. Now stopping in the middle of the forest, Tapu Koko gives his hat back and wants to battle with Ash, with nothing too exciting happening yet until Tapu Koko comes up to Ash and gets him to use the power of the Z-Ring. From there, Ash gets ready to use a Z-move with Pikachu as they get in sync with the required pose needed to activate it, as Pikachu then performs his first Gigavolt Havoc Z-move attack, unleashing a powerful explosion. But for some reason, after the move is used, his Electrium Z breaks apart, with the Guardian Pokemon now flying off. Kiawe explains to Ash that since he hasn't proven himself in the trials yet, the ability to use the Z-move isn't an option for him yet. But this doesn't stop Ash's determination, as he then vows to take on the island challenges to show that he can be worthy to do so, as his new friends at the school are excited to hear. Ash gets given a new Pokedex with his latest adventure just really starting out. On top of just getting a Pokedex, he gets one that is powered by a Rotom, who lives in and becomes the Pokedex itself, and this allows the Rotom Dex to be an adaptable self-learning device to help the trainer understand and learn more information than usual, along with having its own personality. We then get an encounter with one of my favorite Pokemon ever created, and that's Mimikyu, with Ash trying to capture the mysterious looking Pokemon, but since it has this dislike of Pikachu and simultaneous want to be a Pikachu to feel as loved as one, it ends up eventually working with Team Rocket, so that's fun. Ash begins to become a lot more familiar with new Pokemon in the area, trying to capture a Grubbin that ends up winning the battle and it running away before Ash can do so. However, we get the introduction of the grass starter Pokemon for the region, Rowlet, who hangs out with the evolution group of Pikipek, Trumbeak, and Toucanon. Rowlet isn't the best at bringing back some food or paying attention to conversations without falling asleep, as he is now being sent to find some actual food from there. Eventually, Rowlet comes across Ash and Mallow thanks to her Bonsweet's sweet smell being released in order to draw in some flying-type Pokemon. This causes Rowlet to swoop in, but quickly finds itself in peril when it hits a power line and falls down, with Ash catching it and helping the Rowlet wake back up, giving it some food to eat and offering it a place on his team to be his first official Pokemon in the new region. Unfortunately, Rowlet gets distracted by some more fruit and heads out, causing Ash and Mallow to follow it. Rowlet brings the fruit back to the other birds, with the leader Toucanon being happy that Rowlet actually brought some food back. The other two birds, the Pikipek and Trumbeak, are on their way back from another mission getting some berries from the big deathly hugging bear Beware, which involves Team Rocket, who were recently helped by that same bear Pokemon, as they're now helping it by getting the berries back. Once Ash and Mallow arrive to the nest to see where Rowlet went and noticing the friends that it has, they quickly have to help out once Team Rocket starts capturing the other birds in honor of the Beware, getting its food back, causing Ash to defend the birds in battle now, having the Rowlet also help to free the other birds. As the battle is coming to an end with an attack heading Pikachu's way, Rowlet jumps in with an attack and swoops in to get Pikachu out of danger as Beware steals Team Rocket away out of protection. The birds are all happy and thankful for the help as Ash says goodbye, not wanting to catch the Rowlet since it has a group of friends that he doesn't want to split it up away from. Being sad seeing Ash head away, the Toucanon leader gives Rowlet the nod to go ahead and travel with Ash, knowing it would be happy with him, as it then flies directly towards him, much to Ash's surprise. Ash is given the chance to now catch it as Rowlet officially joins Ash's team, allowing Ash to now have his first new Pokemon in the Alola region. We also get the start of a story that involves a Litten and a Stoutland, with Ash coming across the Litten but does not catch it for now, as the little Fire Cat is helping take care of the Stoutland that helped take care of it, with this older Pokemon now being helped by Litten as it brings the old dog food as it lounges on a couch and is a lot slower moving, but still finds time to help out Litten learn some moves and grow stronger. For now, we only see the struggle for Litten to find food and having a place for it in the Stoutland to live before we return back to their story. The character of Lily gets some more details given to both Ash and the audience, with her having this fear of Pokemon for the most part, having spent some time with her mother at one point, coming back from an experience now having this fear. Ash tries helping Lily with this, especially since she gets tasked with watching over an egg given to the class to take care of. While we have some more of this mystery to learn about, she ends up facing her fears a bit to fend off the egg when a Salandit tries to take it from her, standing between the Pokemon and the egg as Pikachu and Rowlet jump in to scare it out of the area. Ash then gets introduced to Hala, one of the 4 kahunas of the islands who oversees the island challenges. Hala shows Ash that the Z-Ring that he was given was taken from him by Tapu Koko, and goes into what the purpose of the island challenges are, as they're not just to make a trainer stronger, but to help them form an understanding and connection of love for the islands themselves, a way to protect the people and the Pokemon on them. He then gives Ash a task that focuses on a group of Alolan Rattata and Alolan Raticate that have recently been causing some trouble, and having him deal with them in a way that isn't just facing them in a battle like Ash was planning to. This is a test for Ash to see if he has what it takes to take place in his first trial. Ash's plan is to head to the cavern that houses a totem Pokemon, with Ash heading in to face this challenge of making his way through the cave to where this totem Gumshoos is, to then have a battle with it, win, and have the totem Pokemon chase away the Rattata and Raticate from the areas that they are causing trouble in. Sounds pretty simple. Hala calls out to the totem Pokemon announcing their arrival as a non-totem Gumshoos appears alongside its pre-evolution Pokemon, a Yungoos, as Hala describes them as the totem Pokemon's allies, and that here they must be battled first. Ash has his Pikachu and Rowlet come out to face them, with Pikachu focusing on an Iron Tail on the Gumshoos, while Rowlet quietly flies behind the Yungoos to use a surprise tackle as both Pokemon take out the ally Pokemon with ease. Once the battle ends, the totem Gumshoos appears, revealing a much larger version of the Pokemon than Ash just faced, emitting off a much stronger presence. Tapu Koko flies around to witness the battle take place and observe Ash as the totem Pokemon jumps right into the battle. The Gumshoos sends Pikachu flying from an attack immediately, with Rowlet sneaking behind for an attack itself. The Gumshoos though is not falling for it, quickly picking up a rock and throwing it at the Rowlet, knocking it out, leaving Pikachu to face the totem Pokemon alone. Pikachu and Gumshoos go back and forth, with the totem Pokemon using a sand attack at one point that Ash has Pikachu use as cover, sending him running through it in circles to create a solid cloud of dust, where Pikachu can then sneak in some quick attacks and then a Thunderbolt to deal damage directly to Gumshoos. The totem Pokemon is able to break out from the zaps it was receiving, seemingly unscathed, until it eventually collapses, with Ash winning the battle. Ash goes up to the Pokemon to check in on it as it understands that it had lost the battle, but it offers Ash a Normalium Z crystal as a reward for doing so. Hollow makes note to Ash that the Pokemon itself offering up the crystal is a rare occurrence to witness. Ash asks Gumshoos if it can help in the Rattata and Raticate situation, to which it appears happy to do so, going on to help Ash and the others involved in the problem, as the totem Pokemon along with its allies show a bit of force to make the rat Pokemon understand they need to scurry away, as they all head back out into the wild and no longer are a problem for the town. Hala believes Ash has done a great job and showed that he is ready for the grand trial, which would be facing off against him. Ash also gets some recognition from Officer Jenny and the local newspaper, showing off and thanking Ash for his achievement in helping the town and connecting Officer Jenny with her new partner Pokemon, Gumshoos. But now it's time for Ash's grand trial, as he has to go and face off against Hala, with the two praying to Tapu Koko to bless their battle, setting up more of the traditions and honor found in the Alola region. Tapu Koko answers their prayers by crying out from somewhere in the distance, giving the two reassurance of their battle being watched over. Ash is also preparing how to properly use the new Normalium Z crystal properly in battle, as the professor is there and tells him that a Z move can only be used once in the battle. With everything being set up and ready to go, Ash sends out Rowlet, with Hala sending out his Crabrawler. Rowlet gets confident for this battle at first, being able to land a strong attack, but when trying to do so again, the Mike Tyson of Pokemon here is able to land a strong swing and punch that knocks Rowlet back as Crabrawler goes in for some more punches. As this battle goes on, Ash has Rowlet distract the Crabrawler with one move so that it can sneak around behind it and land a quick succession of pecks, until the Crab has had enough and is able to counter with some more punches. Rowlet is able to dodge one of the attacks and hit back with another tackle that sends Crabrawler to the ground and knocks it out. While Ash is excited for the first round win, Rowlet quickly falls asleep and is not able to wake up, despite the attempts from Ash and Pikachu to try and do so. Hala then sends out his Hariyama, as Ash now has to recall Rowlet and send out Pikachu, sending him in with a quick Iron Tail, but the Hariyama is able to catch the attack and heavily counter it. Pikachu is having a hard time connecting his attacks, as the ones coming his way are hitting him pretty hard. With the battle intensifying, Hala gets into his formation and uses his Z-move attack with Hariyama using all-out pummeling, with Pikachu avoiding some of the attack but still getting hit, barely getting back up afterwards.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Rockruff!
Pikachu starts to use his speed once again, running around the beast of a Pokemon, confusing it to where it actually is, allowing for an Iron Tail to swing by and sweep the leg, knocking Hariyama to its knee. In this moment, Ash syncs up to use his Z move as well, having the Normalium Z activate Pikachu to perform the move Breakneck Blitz, landing a direct hit on Hariyama, knocking it out, with Ash officially winning the battle and completing the grand trial. Hala rewards Ash with a Fightinium Z crystal, with Ash thankful for the battle and for the crystal. But then another cry from Tapu Koko can be heard as in a blur something flies by as they notice the Phytinium Z has now been replaced with another crystal, a brand new Electrium Z crystal instead. Hala thinks that the Guardian's actions are both funny and odd, especially for having this much interest in Ash. Celebrating the win, Ash asks if he can invite the rest of the class to partake in the festivities, as he appreciates them for being able to follow this path and earn the Z crystal. Now spending the evening in high spirits together for Ash passing the grand trial, Ash looks forward to mastering the Gigavolt Havoc attack the next time Tapu Koko decides to come and test Ash. Lily is still taking care of the egg given to her as a responsibility to do so, as she has grown an attachment to it, coming up with a name for it, with that being Snowy, which turns out to be the perfect name as the egg eventually hatches in front of everyone into an Alolan Vulpix, which is like regular Vulpix, but all icy now. While she has trouble still trying to have physical contact with a Pokemon, being hesitant to pet it, Samson Oak comes in and announces that the egg that Ash brought to him is hatching as well, as it turns out to be a regular Vulpix, which was cool for everyone to see the regional variants being born at the same time as each other. Mallow tries to get Lily to overcome her issues with Pokemon and suggests that she should catch and care for the Alolan Vulpix. Snowy is clearly showing signs that it wants Lily to be its trainer, with the others all showing support for her to take the steps into not fearing Pokemon. After being handed a Pokeball, she throws it in order to catch Snowy, but it instead hits Ash, with the ball falling somewhere else as Snowy walks up to it and casually captures itself, as then everyone cheers for her capturing this Pokemon. The professor proclaims this moment as her officially crossing over into becoming a Pokemon trainer. All of this helps her feel a lot more confident in herself and determined to get over her fears, but as she spends time after school walking home and trying to connect with Snowy, Team Rocket is up to no good and decided to start causing some trouble in their neighborhood. They begin giving chase to Lily and Snowy once they confront her and she begins to make an escape, as Ash and Mallow hear a commotion going on and head towards the screams that they believe is Lily, as Snowy is currently trying to face off against Team Rocket on its own, leading to Snowy being hit and sent flying, as without a moment to hesitate, Lily jumps up to catch Snowy, with Rowlet coming in to send in some leaves to save them from getting hurt from falling. Once again though, that Beware appears and grabs Team Rocket, dragging them back to safety once more to protect them. Lily embraces Snowy in a hug, with her realizing that she has overcome the whole touching Pokemon thing. From then on, Lily has a closer connection to Snowy and even arrives at school confidently holding it in her arms, with everyone happy to see this. While she still has some fears to get over with having issues touching the other Pokemon in class, at least she has made a real breakthrough with her Alolan Vulpix. Throughout Ash's time there and spending a lot of time with the professor, he's known that he has a Rockruff as a Pokemon, but it turns out that the professor doesn't technically own the pupper, but instead has just been taking care of it, from feeding it to healing any injuries it gets from being in the wild, as he explains how the two met. The Rotom Dex ends up explaining that Rockruff's evolved form can have multiple options depending on a few factors, and that it's possible that Rockruff here is getting closer and closer to evolving based on the habits it's currently showcasing being a sign of that. Later that night, both the professor and Ash end up following the Rockruff to see where it goes and what it gets into within the woods. There we see two versions of Lycanroc, the evolved form of Rockruff, with one being the midday form and the other being the midnight form. Apparently, the Pokemon in the area have their own secret fight club. Sorry, didn't mean to mention Fight Club again. That's my bad. The Lycanrocs start things off by facing off against each other as the other Pokemon battle to test out their own skills. A tougher Pokemon opponent that is clearly stronger than the others is a Magmar, with the Rockruff standing up to it for a fight. While Rockruff shows great determination in battle, it eventually gets knocked out by the power of Magmar. Once the defeated Rockruff heads home and runs into Ash and the Professor, Ash tells it how awesome it was in battle and offers to help train with it to become even stronger, as well as to learn a new move for its battle that it's been trying to accomplish. Rockruff is excited for this and agrees, as the professor mentions that move that it was trying to learn was probably Rock Throw. Ash then spends time showing Rockruff how to dodge attacks like Flamethrower and helps it build the strength to start learning Rock Throw fully. After this, Rockruff heads out for another match against Magmar, as this time Rockruff is able to put up a stronger fight, dodging the Magmar's Flamethrower, but still getting hit with some direct attacks. Not being defeated yet, Rockruff tries to send in a Rock Throw, but gets cut off when a Flamethrower does connect with it, but only giving the dog more determination to prove it does have that dog within itself, as it then rushes in and hits Magmar with some more attacks, ultimately defeating it. The professor ends up suggesting to Ash that he should capture Rockruff, seeing how great he was at helping it train, as this would be great to help it become even stronger if Rockruff was on his team. Rockruff agrees to this, and Ash then catches it and is excited to add Rockruff to his journey. Later on, as we catch back up with Ash at school, he is having a battle with another student, facing off against his Mudbray with Rockruff. Ash uses his Normilium Electrium Z Crystal with Rockruff to use Breakneck Blitz like Pikachu once performed as Rockruff defeats the Mudbray. Ash gets more and more excited to be tested by Tapu Koko again, as the others mention helping him with his strategies in battle, especially since Tapu Koko is both an electric and fairy type Pokemon. Sophocles decides to help Ash out since he has his Togedemaru and clearly specializes in that typing. Sophocles puts him through some intense and different training than usual, resulting in this wheel device that they're on to overload and explode, getting the attention of Tapu Koko in the distance, but in the meantime, Sophocles analyzes the data from their training, leading to the next day where outside of the school, Tapu Koko appears with Ash excited to face it in battle. Quickly, the Guardian Pokemon pushes away both Rowlet and Rockruff with ease, showing how powerful it is before facing Pikachu, the only Pokemon from Ash that it truly wants to battle. With the two electrical Pokemon going at it, Tapu Koko ends up dealing a lot more damage to Pikachu, with Ash now ready to show off some power of his own with Pikachu activating his Electrium Z Crystal since it's now powered up. Pikachu then uses Gigavolt Havoc, hitting Tapu Koko, but not enough to do that much damage to it, countering Pikachu's other attacks by sending Pikachu flying off a cliff, with Ash not hesitating to jump over as well to catch him as they now both continue to fall. Tapu Koko ends up saving them and then flies off once more, ending this battle with no official winner, with Ash determined to get even stronger for their next battle, getting some more time fighting against it to learn and prepare for when it comes back. Later on, Ash had helped rescue a Wimpod, and in doing so, suffered some scratches and cuts. Overhead, another Guardian Pokemon flies by, covering the area with its powers that began to heal the cuts that he had, thanking this mysterious Pokemon for their kindness. The professor tells him that this other Guardian Pokemon was Tapu Lele, and is pleasantly surprised that Ash also had an encounter with yet another Guardian of the islands. We now continue on with the Litten storyline as Ash comes back across the Fire Cat along with the elderly Stoutland. At first, Litten is cold to Ash and not accepting of the food being offered to it, until the Stoutland nudges Litten to take it. Ash also takes notice of the condition Stoutland is in health-wise before leaving them be for now. As Ash was going to return to them the next day, Team Rocket gets in the way, but is briefly knocked aside when Litten rushes in with an attack and directs Ash to follow it quickly. Coming back to their spot under the bridge, the Stoutland has passed out onto the ground, with the Rotom Dex informing Ash that Stoutland is having complications with its breathing. While being a large and heavy dog, Ash gets Stoutland situated on his back and begins heading to the Pokemon Center for immediate treatment. Ash ends up spending the night there, waiting with Litten for any updates on Stoutland's conditions, but at one point they discover that Stoutland has gone missing along with Litten when he was trying to bring them back some food. Thinking of where they could have gone, Ash and Pikachu head running in the direction of the bridge, getting stopped by Meowth of Team Rocket, who expresses to them that he wants Litten to be protected, having a bit of care for the other cat Pokemon and knowing what may be coming. We see Stoutland under the bridge again as it is still using whatever strength it has left to teach the young Litten the Fire Fang attack that it wants to learn, but hasn't mastered yet. As it gets late, the two Pokemon curl up together and fall asleep, as Litten ends up having a nightmare that it keeps trying to run and catch up to Stoutland as it slowly gets further and further away, becoming impossible for the little cat to reach it. Waking up when Stoutland was too far away in the distance, and noticing now that in real life, Stoutland is nowhere to be seen. Litten starts searching everywhere it can think of that Stoutland could have gone, but having no luck. As it returns under the bridge, we see the couch it usually rests on break, as we see a final leaf fall off a tree that has been slowly dying to symbolize the passing of Stoutland. Litten connects what it all means, looking up to the now bare tree as it yells out in the rain, releasing its sadness and pain over understanding that Stoutland is gone. Ash and the professor find the grieving Litten and are sorry to see that Stoutland has passed away. Litten jumps onto the couch, curling itself up and resting where Stoutland used to rest. We cut to Meowth staring up at the sky, feeling the pain and hurting for the other Pokemon. Ash tries to give the Litten some food, but the Fire Cat refuses to eat anything right now as Ash feels for the poor cat. Later on, Meowth checks up on Litten but is quickly scared away once he notices Ash coming back around, with Ash deciding to stay with Litten until it is able to start eating again. Once Ash and his Pokemon are fast asleep and the rain has parted, Litten wakes up to see a rainbow formed in the sky, along with a cloud that resembles Stoutland, helping Litten come to terms with Stoutland's death and to keep moving on in life without its mentor and friend. Ash wakes up trying to offer some food once again to Litten, as well as a spot on his team so he can help Litten train and learn that Fire Fang move, but after a brief moment, the Litten just hits Ash with an Ember attack, seemingly wanting Ash to earn Litten on his team. Pikachu and Litten end up going back and forth a bit, with both Pokemon proving themselves in battle. Ash offers the Litten to come with him once more, to which it now agrees and jumps into Ash's Pokeball to begin their adventures together. Meowth watches in happiness, thinking that this is the best for Litten, and jokes that Litten will technically now be his enemy. me. Ash sends Litten back out and it finally accepts some food to eat. This episode and just the storyline as a whole regarding Litten and Stoutland is heavily talked about as a great standout moment for the Sun and Moon series, offering a very emotional episode in the series and one that deals with Pokemon death, a subject often overlooked in the franchise due to the nature of the target audience and what the show is in general. But the way that it's done here in the show is so powerful and can speak beyond the death of a Pokemon, giving us a look into understanding, dealing with, and grieving the death of a loved one. Truly a standout moment for the franchise in general, and something I am glad Pokemon decided to touch upon, especially in the way they portrayed it here. And from here, Ash spends time with Litten, and thanks to Ash's training, Litten is able to master the Fire Fang attack, bonding the Pokemon and trainer further. We get to see Ash's mom and Mimey again as she flies out to the Alola region for a family visit day for the Pokemon school. Just a nice little visit from her as a mother who loves her son. But what's cool is at one point when she's spending some time with Litten, she ends up getting to battle, having Litten face off against some Team Skull members, with Ash jumping in and battling alongside his mother. This is just such a cool little moment for the series. The others in the school look upon Ash and his mom and see where Ash gets a lot of his personality and ambitions from, tying the family bond closer for the audience to witness. Sometime later, we meet Gladion, who is shown to be a powerful trainer that defends himself from some Team Skull grunts, as at the Pokemon school, the others discuss hearing about a trainer that has both an Umbreon and the midnight form of Lycanroc being in the area, with Ash of course eager to have a battle with whoever this trainer is. Later in the day, Ash ends up shopping in town and notices a battle going on, seeing that midnight form Lycanroc defeating a Blastoise. Ash is excited to run into that trainer being discussed earlier as Lily calls out his name, and it's revealed that Gladion is Lily's older brother. Ash tries offering a battle against him, but he decides that maybe they will at some point, especially after seeing Ash's Z-Ring and learning about how he acquired it. Lily explains to Ash once Gladion leaves that he went off by himself to go train, stating that something about him has changed based on her time with her brother before he left home. In the night, Gladion's Umbreon drops off a note for Ash to read, having him go out and meet him for them to have a battle so he can truly see Ash's skills. Ash sends out his Rockruff as Gladion sends out his Lycanroc as the two dogs start battling, with it easily going in Lycanroc's favor over the power the midnight form has. The battle gets interrupted though as Team Rocket steps in to capture the Pokemon, resulting in Gladion's Umbreon attacking them as their Pokemon make their escape from being captured. Once free, he finishes off Team Rocket by having Lycanroc use the Z move Continental Crush as they are then blasted away. Ash is pretty excited to see the power that comes from the rock type Z move as Gladion points him in the direction of Akala Island, where he would have to pass the grand trial there to obtain the Rockium Z crystal. As they were about to finish their battle, Lily comes around to get Ash as it's very late. So late, in fact, that it's almost time for school to start in the morning, so Ash's battle with Gladion will have to wait for another available time. Gladion admits to Ash that Lily being around makes it hard for him to have a battle for some reason before leaving the area. Lily is disappointed that he left as she wants him to come home, but for now, Lily gets some more attention for her story. At school, the professor announces that to get a better understanding of different Pokemon, everyone will be temporarily trading their partner Pokemon with another student as Ash and Lily end up trading, giving Ash Snowy for the time being and leaving Lily with Pikachu, to which she's still scared and even touching. As all the students end up having their own fun and mishaps getting used to another Pokemon, Ash ends up spending some time with Snowy, getting to go for a walk with it and even training like he usually would with his Pokemon. Lily tries her best to overcome being in fear around Pikachu, despite knowing Pikachu's nature based on seeing him with Ash. She eventually pushes herself to have an official Pokemon battle against her butler. She has a butler that takes care of her, as her family is rich, and there's also a bunch of drama with her family that we'll get into down the road, but for context's sake, that's why she has a butler in which she is battling right now, having Pikachu face off against his Oricorio. As the battle goes on, Pikachu shows Lily that he trusts her, helping her focus better in the battle as together they end up winning. In her excitement, she runs up and hugs Pikachu before realizing that she is not only touching Pikachu, but is full on hugging a Pokemon. Again! The next day at school, all of the Pokemon are returned back to their original trainers as Lily shows off that her and Pikachu had their breakthrough moment and all is good, continuing to take steps forward and being more comfortable around Pokemon. Ash ends up challenging Lily to a friendly Pokemon battle where he will use Snowy based on their training from the previous day, and she'll use Pikachu based on their recent connection. The results of this battle are left unknown to the audience, but it sure sounds like a fun setup.
Who's that Pokemon? It's It's Mimikyu!
Now, it's time for a school field trip, minus Miss Frizzle, as they all head to Akala Island, where they get to meet the Akala Island kahuna, Olivia. Lana gets some time to shine here as she ends up finding a sparkling stone, a material that is necessary to create a Z-ring, and are said to also be gifts given to who a Tapu Guardian deems worthy of it. In the anime, they refer to the material as a Z-ring ore, as Olivia says she'll work on using it to make a Z-ring for Lana. From there, Ash and Lana head to a fishing area where they both want to have a little fishing contest with one another, but it turns out that the lake that they're on may house a totem Pokemon. After a while of fishing with nothing too exciting happening, Lana finds a Wishiwashi that appears injured and stuck in a shallow bit of water. Being in her kind nature, she ends up bandaging up the little fish and helping it back into the regular part of the lake. As they get back to fishing, Lana ends up reeling in something big, as it ends up being the totem Pokemon, as it's revealed to be a Wishiwashi itself, but the version of it that consists of a school of small Wishiwashi fish coming together to form this way more threatening and massive fish that helps it against other Pokemon that may prey on small individual Wishiwashi. With Lana's Popplio scared to face off against it, Lana continues holding it off until Popplio builds up the courage to help, seeing Lana be fearless and needing this help. The ally Pokemon Alola Momola joins in to take Popplio's attention away, as Ash then jumps in to help distract the ally fish with both his fishing skills and Pikachu's attacks. Because of this, Popplio is able to help face off against Wishiwashi using Aqua Jet to defeat the school of fish as they all swim apart. Then that same Wishiwashi that Lana helped earlier comes up to her with a Waterium Z crystal as a prize for defeating the totem Pokemon and for helping care for it when it was stuck and injured. By the end of the day, Lana gets presented with her Z-ring from Olivia as she adds her new Z crystal to it, accomplishing a lot with some help from Ash. As for Ash's own challenges, he finds himself in the presence of another totem Pokemon. After being assigned to look for some ingredients from the land to make some special regional curry, Ash stumbles across a very nice clearing filled with lots of vegetation, with Mallow traveling with him. After searching the area and finding the final ingredient, a miracle seed, a giant Lurantis, aka the totem Pokemon of the area, appears, as Ash sends out his Litten to fight the Lurantis, but it calls for its ally, with the cast form showing up and helping stop Litten for now, as Ash chooses his Rowlet to head out, as it's able to end up defeating the cast form, leaving only the Lurantis left to deal with. And with Ash now having Litten back able to battle, he activates his Normalium Z crystal, giving Litten the Z move, Breakneck Blitz, to use as it takes out the Lurantis, leaving the totem Pokemon defeated. After the battle, Mallow helps bring both defeated Pokemon back to better health, and Ash is given a Gracium Z crystal, leading to a nice celebration where curry is served. Olivia lets Ash know that he can now partake in the grand trial, but warns him that she won't go easy on him, as Ash now eagerly awaits their battle. Just like before, the two meet up and pray to the Island Guardian, this time being Tapu Lele, as they then take the battlefield and begin. Before the battle though, she has her Lycanroc by her side, with Ash having Rockruff currently out as well, as this little pupper takes notice of the Lycanroc and starts to become aggressive, looking to be in this battle specifically against it, even biting Ash so that he can jump out of his arms. But as the battle starts, she first sends out her Probopass. Now that's one snazzy fella. Look at that magnetic mustache. It's marvelous. Rockruff still wants to get into the battle anyway and heads out onto the field in front of Ash. Olivia offers Ash an extra surprise for this battle though, as it would be a double battle instead, now sending out her Lycanroc as well. Much to Rockruff's aggressive delight, with Ash now sending out his Rowlet to fight alongside it. The sheer power of Probopass ends up being a problem for both Rockruff and Rowlet, as things only get worse when Lycanroc fully joins in on the attacks as well. Rowlet and Rockruff try to work together as much as they can, as Rockruff has helped Rowlet out of a sticky situation already, as its anger rises during the battle. Olivia already decides to use her Z move for the match, having Lycanroc use Continental Crush, but both of Ash's Pokemon evade it before it lands directly on top of them. With the battle still going back and forth, Ash uses his new Gracium Z crystal to have Rowlet use the associated move, but Probopass rushes in to stop this. Luckily for Ash, the Z move, Bloom Doom, hits the Probopass first, taking it out of the battle. But in celebrating this, Rowlet shares in the joy with Rockruff, who only sees rage in its eyes towards the Lycanroc, attacking Rowlet in annoyance, accidentally knocking out Rowlet, much to everyone's surprise. Rockruff realizes what it did and feels awful for it, but Ash keeps the pup in good spirits by helping Rockruff remember all of their training, believing that Rockruff is able to win this battle. Lycanroc begins fighting back with Rockruff now, as the little doggo has the determination to stay in the fight, avoiding the Lycanroc's Rock Slide attack by jumping onto the rocks to get in close and land a rock throw directly on the Lycanroc, taking it out. Ash officially wins his second grand trial, as Rockruff passes out from the effort it used. Olivia enjoyed the battle and gives Ash a Rockium Z crystal, as her and the professor both confirm together that based on the aggression Rockruff has, mixed with it wanting to handle a lot of the battle on its own that Rockruff may just be ready to evolve sooner than Ash thinks. Tapu Lele shows up real quick one more time in the skies above, having taken notice of the prayers reaching out to it to bless the battle at the start. In the night, Rockruff is having trouble sleeping, being confused and upset over attacking Rowlet in the battle. It then runs off and accidentally wakes up Pikachu, who now alerts Ash as they both go after the Rockruff. With Rockruff out on the land on his own, Tapu Lele notices the pup and ends up watching it trying to train harder on its own. The Guardian ends up displaying a bit of power for the Rockruff to see, but this only causes Rockruff to want to face it in battle. Tapu Lele's strength was too much for Rockruff to handle, leaving it badly hurt as Ash runs up to it, scaring away Tapu Lele. Rockruff isn't in a great mood or in great shape, causing it to emotionally not want to listen to Ash and wanting to just run off. But Ash tries stopping it as Rockruff bites Ash again, this time realizing it just did this to Rowlet and feels shame for it, escaping from Ash and running away further. As Ash continues to chase after it, the sun begins to rise, as Ash has had no luck in finding where Rockruff went. Olivia tells Ash that her Rockruff ran away and did the same thing before it ended up evolving, as Olivia's Lycanroc ends up running off to look for Rockruff itself. Hearing Rockruff's howls in the distance, Gladion's Lycanroc takes note of this and gets permission from Gladion to go and see what's going on. We also see Gladion dealing with an interesting Pokemon of his, a type Null, but more about that later. Both Lycanroc, Midday and Midnight form alike, find Rockruff and bring it to Tapu Lele, asking the Guardian to use its healing abilities on Rockruff, to which it denies and attacks them. After asking again, Tapu Lele looks back to the battle that it had with the Rockruff, noticing how injured it left the pup, as it then heals it up a little bit before trying to attack it again. But Olivia's Lycanroc jumps in front and takes the attack directly. As Ash, Olivia, and the Professor are searching for Rockruff and notice the evidence of Tapu Lele in the area, they explain that Tapu Lele doesn't know its own power, often leaving some Pokemon badly injured without knowing it, as they all run into the Lycanroc, Rockruff, and Tapu Lele situation happening. Tapu Lele ends up using Draining Kiss to pull energy from both of the Lycanroc, with Ash getting caught in this as well, as the energy that was drained is used to help heal Rockruff, as both Lycanroc and Ash wake back up with the Guardian Pokemon now flying away. Rockruff ends up looking out into the ocean with the sun beginning to set, with both Lycanroc hanging right behind it on both sides, with Rockruff beginning to evolve, as we see a third evolution form of Lycanroc get revealed as a Dusk form Lycanroc, as all three of them begin to howl together as a very rare green light flashes and then ends up residing within the Dusk Lycanroc's eyes, as the Professor explains all of this to Ash. His new Lycanroc seems stronger and more comfortable than ever, as the group all head back to Mele Mele Island, with their field trip now over. Now, in some more day-to-day downtime, Sophocles ends up taking place in a Charjabug race and ends up winning, but we do at one point get to see this other trainer who has a cool shiny Charjabug. Later on, in celebration for the Pokemon School's 20th anniversary, oddly enough being around the time of Pokemon's 20th anniversary, Samson Oak announces another field trip of sorts, with the Professor letting them know that they are heading to the Kanto region and getting to meet some special people there as well. Of course, making Ash excited to visit home. They board a plane and not long later they arrive in the Kanto region as a familiar face greets them. Behold the return of Brock, as Ash is excited to reunite until Brock runs past him to flirt with the plane attendant. That is, until another familiar face pulls up and starts dragging Brock away, as we get the return of Misty as well. Ash is so excited to see them and introduces the whole class to them. Ash is surprised to see that both of them are here, as they explain that Professor Oak sent them to meet with the class, as they all now head over to Professor Oak's lab. Both Oaks bask in seeing each other, while our two companions from the past show the students around Oak's ranch. In doing so, with Ash mentioning that all of his other Pokemon are here on the ranch as well, every single one of his Tauros comes stampeding in excitement to see him, knocking him up in the air. You gotta love a reunion episode like this, right? It just feels like home. For Ash, it literally is home. Even Muck gets a chance to smother Ash, being happy to see him again. How adorable. As the class gets to have a real close-up lesson about regional variants, we get another callback that has Ash, Brock, and Misty coming across a Caterpie in the wild, as Misty is shown to still be freaked out by bug Pokemon. It's a nice time though, as we get to see these three hang out once more and look back on their past adventures together. Ash even gets a moment to reunite with his Bulbasaur, who still acts as a babysitter of sorts for some of the other Pokemon. The group have a little run-in with Team Rocket, but throughout Team Rocket's interference this season, there has been a running gag of the Beware showing up to rescue them in more and more ridiculous ways each time than the last time he appeared, with this time having the giant bear jump down from a random plane and scoop them up. It's random, but I appreciate how silly this Beware is while still being such a menacingly powerful Pokemon. A Jigglypuff appears after this and puts them all to sleep from its singing, and yes, it's that original Jigglypuff who gets angry at this and then uses its microphone marker combo to draw all over them, as everyone eventually eventually wakes up and laughs at one another. At the end of the day, everyone celebrates together, having a nice little party that Ash's mom helped put together, and when the Rotom Dex is upset that it doesn't have a photo with every Pokemon native to the region, missing one final photo, a Mew is seen to have heard this and then flies away. Oh Mew, you're such a goofball. The next part of the trip though would be them heading over to the Cerulean Gym, where they can take place in a proper gym battle instead of island challenges and trials. Upon arriving at the gym, they are greeted by Misty's Psyduck, to which a happy, reel-breaking Nate can be heard cheering in joy somewhere in the distance. With both Misty and Brock being gym leaders themselves, well, former in Brock's case, Professor Kukui talks about the typings they specialize in, as he further explains the way most regions work with their gyms and badge collecting structures. Ash confirms to the others that he did earn all of the badges in the Kanto region back in the day, but funny enough, Misty and Brock bring up the age-old debate about how he earned the badges, saying that he got his from these gyms out of pity. Ash doesn't even try to deny it at this point, he just changes the subject. The Pokemon School students get a chance to have some fun gym battles with the two nostalgic companions, as it's great to see them both in battle again. Brock and Kiawe get to have a more serious one-on-one battle, where even Brock shows off that he knows about Mega Evolutions that we learned about in the last generation, showcasing his Mega Steelix. Kiawe ends up losing the battle, but Ash here is going to have a fun battle with his old pal Misty for everyone. Ash sends out his Pikachu with her sending out her Gyarados, and the battle begins. It starts off pretty fierce, but even with how tough things are for Pikachu, Misty makes it tougher, revealing that she knows a lot about Mega Evolution herself, using the power of Mega Evolution on her Gyarados. Now, at the end of the last series, Ash had a lot of trouble with Lysander's Mega Gyarados, and that's with him even having help from Elan in that fight. However, when the combination of Mega Gyarados' Hurricane and Rain Dance moves are happening, a combo no challenger has been able to get past according to Misty, Ash has Pikachu use Thunderbolt, with the electricity being trapped in the vortex as Pikachu uses the trapped electricity to bounce around the Cyclone with ease thanks to his speed, as Ash then primes up Pikachu to use a Z move to send in a direct Gigavolt Havoc that defeats the Mega Gyarados, shocking Misty, but overall she is happy to see just how much he has improved as a trainer since they were traveling companions. She still calls him childish, which gets Ash heated, but you know you love their playful poking fun at each other's nature. But now it's time for the class to head back to the Alola region, with them all saying their goodbyes for now, with Samson Oak excited to hopefully bring some of the Pokemon League culture to Alola one day thanks to Professor Oak helping him find the spirit and drive to do so. Ash tells Brock and Misty to come visit him in Alola at some point, as they both plan on taking him up on that offer sooner rather than later. They reminisce over the old days together again as they part ways, and the plane begins heading back, and Jigglypuff somehow got on board and is heading back there with them. Oh boy. Team Rocket's going back to the Alola region as well, thanks to Beware, who for 3 straight days has been holding on to them while running at super speeds across the water. Again, sometimes the ridiculousness is entertaining, and I'm not talking about Rob Dyrdek's show on MTV that plays 24/7. But with that, we have reached the end of the first season for the Sun and Moon saga. What a way to end it as well, with a fun little detour back to the Kanto region to reunite with some familiar faces that make any longtime viewers of the anime get filled with a true sense of nostalgic joy that can only be found with something as generational as Pokemon. While the vibe of the show is a lot slower, having more slice of life moments with a lot less battle action than previous seasons, the show has managed to offer a lot of cool moments and even some truly emotional ones, especially when it comes to Litten's backstory with Stoutland. But there are still 2 more seasons to go for the Sun and Moon arc of the anime, and a whole lot more left to happen that we haven't discussed, so let's continue on.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Togedemaru!
As we enter into a new season of the Sun and Moon anime titled Ultra Adventures, we see Ash somewhere in the mountains as he gets visited by the 2 main legendaries of the region, Solgaleo and Lunala, as they look down to Ash, who seemingly understands what they are trying to communicate to him, as he promises them whatever they are asking of him, with this beam of light pointing to the presence of a special Pokemon that gathers the attention of the Guardian Tapus, as well as Gladion's type Null. But then Ash is woken up, coming to the realization that whatever he just witnessed was just a dream. Or was it? I guess we'll find out, right? As the day is getting started, a broadcast on TV shows that another professor on the island, Professor Burnett, has won the Woman of the Year award, with Professor Kukui explaining to Ash that her research focuses on what are known as ultra wormholes. We cut to Professor Burnett along with some other characters, Faba, Wick, and Lusamine, who are looking into some ruins where energy readings from an ultra beast are rising heavily. But we'll get into that shortly. For now, wakey wakey's time for school, as Ash is already on his way. He gets sidetracked though thanks to Tapu Koko, who leads leads him to a mysterious little Pokemon as Ash has the realization that this was the Pokemon he saw in his dream, the one in which he made the promise about, making things extra weird for whatever he experienced. Ash arrives to class now, barely making it before being late as he shows everyone the new Pokemon, to which Lily nicknames it Nebby. As it is a young little Pokemon, it becomes overwhelmed, and it begins to cry, as the others are now trying to calm it down as they end up feeding it. Later on, as Ash and Lily head to the professor's house, they are greeted with some guests, who want to meet them and, more importantly, meet Nebby. One of the guests turns out to be Lusami, as she quickly begins smothering Lily in a hug as Lily is more annoyed to see her than anything. Surprise, this is Lily's mom, and yeah, there are some unresolved mommy issues between them. Aside from that, Professor Burnett, Faba, and Wick are there as well, and proceed to explain some lore to Ash and Lily regarding the Guardians of the Islands as well as Ultra Beasts, as they believe that Nebby is actually one itself. Ultra Beasts are these Pokemon that come from different dimensions that can appear through these Ultra wormholes, the ones that were mentioned earlier. From their work at the Ether Foundation, Lusamine wants to take Nebby to keep the mysterious Pokemon under their care, but Ash remembers his promise, saying he will look after Nebby himself. The group of guests are hesitant about this, but Professor Kukui reassures them that Ash has a special relationship to Pokemon like Tapu Koko, and Lusamine makes the judgment call to let him look after Nebby. Ash and Lily spend time with Nebby as Lily begins documenting things down. Ash, along with all the other students, end up going to visit the Ether Paradise building that sits alone in the middle of the ocean. After being annoyed by her mother when they arrive, Lily ends up giving the others a tour of the area as Wick and Professor Burnett go into the history of the organization, or foundation, however you want to look at it, as we get to see how Professor Burnett ends up helping look after and take care of any Pokemon that is there. In the background of all of this, Faba has some other devious plans to capture Nebby, hiring Team Rocket to work directly for him as employees of the Foundation. Faba does back off his plans at one point in fear of Lily remembering certain things about her past regarding him and this place that could spell some trouble, as Team Rocket sneaks around the labs on their pursuit of Nebby, who can teleport to move around away from everyone, leading them to finding some documents regarding Gladion's mysterious type null Pokemon that travels with him, along with some Ultra Beast information. After the trip and now back on land, Ash learns that his Lycanroc has this uncontrollable rage side to it that occurs when it feels its fur get dirty. Its eyes will glow red and it will attack whoever helped cause such a thing to happen, with Litten getting the rage aimed towards it this time. Ash finally manages to calm Lycanroc down and clean it up as he thinks about Gladion, and because of this, Nebby instantly teleports Ash to his location, putting him in some danger from a bunch of Pinsir that Gladion helps him with thanks to his type null. The two of them begin talking about Ultra Beast thanks to Gladion thinking that Nebby could in fact be one as he learns about the dream that Ash had, or not dream that he had. Gladion reveals to Ash that Ultra Beasts are the reason Lily is scared of Pokemon in the first place, being attacked by one at some point as Gladion opens up to him further about him not being able to help her when this happened, and how this haunts him. But who did help her was the type null that he has named Savali. This may get confusing in regards to the technical evolution of type null, as it is Savali, and in the past it was Savali that helped her. And really the evolution, or whatever it is just type null, but without the face Diddy belt, claiming to take down every single one of them that he comes across, which includes Nebby if there becomes a threat there. Ash combats his way of thinking and speaks highly of the good nature Nebby has. Gladion explains that type null was created to take down Ultra Beasts, not fully going into the details surrounding type null's creation though. He does however want to know more about why Ash is at the center of all these strange events, as Ash really has no clue. It's almost like he's the protagonist of this journey or something. Beats me. But to keep things like usual, Ash brings up having a battle, as Gladion agrees to this, sending out type null to face his Lycanroc. During this, the mysterious Pokemon sends Lycanroc flying into some water, causing it to get filled with rage once more after getting its fur dirty. No longer listening to Ash's commands, Lycanroc goes berserk, with Ash not being able to calm it back down, causing Nebby to freak out from the commotion and start to cry. And the power of these cries help remove any dirt on the rage-filled pupper, which truly calms it back down. And now with the battle continuing, type null is able to defeat Lycanroc, giving the win to Gladion. Enjoying the battle, Gladion asks Ash to keep it hush that he saw him, and he agrees to keep it private, with the two heading different ways for now. But not long later, Lily is thinking about her brother as Nebby does its thing and teleports her to him, with type null approaching her as she gets flashbacks of the mysterious Pokemon approaching her in a similar fashion when she was younger, regressing her feelings on Pokemon as Gladion tries reaching out to her, as Nebby then teleports her back before he could do so. This encounter has scarred her once again. now not being able to even touch her own Pokemon, Snowy. Gladion now approaches Ash regarding what just happened with Lily, as Ash tries defending Nebby for doing that, but Gladion doesn't want to hear it and is angry about it all. After this confrontation, and Gladion being alone now, Faba shows up looking to take Type Null back per his mother's request, but he denies him doing so and they end up in a battle. This battle leaves Gladion defeated as Faba takes the Pokeball that Type Null is in and leaves. Ash tries spending some time with Lily as she already assumes that him and her brother have already met, as she opens up about what happened to her in her past, as Nebby teleports them to all the locations from these moments in time that she mentions. This only causes more memories of her and her family to come out in the conversation, eventually bringing them to be teleported back to Ether Paradise. Faba though, while storing Type Null's Pokeball away, notices on the security feed that Ash and Lily are in the facility. We cut back to Gladion, who is now confronting his mother about all of this, as she claims that she didn't tell Faba to do anything of the sort. She only knows that Faba said Type Null was a failure, but she didn't tell him to go after bringing the Pokemon back. Faba tries to get Team Rocket to help bring Lily to him so he can forcefully get rid of her memories, but even they refuse doing so and resign from working with him. This causes Faba to do it himself, confronting the two with his Pokemon, knocking Ash away while he snatches Lily. Gladion and his mother head to Faba's office and get back Type Null's Pokeball as an alarm then goes off, with Faba's Hypno trying to erase Lily's memories on the spot, but Pikachu comes in to stop this. With this battle for Lily's memories going on, her mother and Gladion arrive just in time as Gladion sends out Type Null, who then technically evolves until Savali as its mask breaks off. From all of this, Lily ends up remembering that Savali was the Pokemon that actually saved her when she was attacked by Nihilego in Ultra Beast, and that Faba was there as it happened, to which he was trying to cover up. Savali takes out Faba with Lusamine, getting a chance to apologize to her daughter over what happened, and now, thanks to Savali's help, she is able to not have the fear of touching Pokemon anymore. Faba was able to escape though, with Lusamine speaking with Wick and Professor Burnett about all that just happened. Gladion isn't satisfied with just the Foundation looking for Faba and decides to look for him on his own now, angry at his actions more than anyone else. The kids are back at school like normal, but not too far away, Faba is watching them and keeping an eye on Nebby, thinking that he can be redeemed in Lusamine's eyes if he's able to open an Ultra Wormhole, being able to do so if he steals Nebby from Ash and Lily. With Faba now attempting to capture Nebby, Team Rocket ends up saving Nebby by capturing it themselves, causing Faba to chase after them, but eventually Nebby just teleports itself back to the school where Faba now heads back to, and ends up going up to it using Nebby's powers to bring him to the Ether Paradise, as Ash and the others witness that happen. Gladion shows up to the school and they explain what they just saw, now having his and Lily's butler fly them to the building. Faba quickly uses his equipment at the lab to house Nebby from leaving, and using its energy to open an Ultra Wormhole. Everyone shows up and they get Lily's mom and rush down to Faba's lab. Ash sees the opportunity and goes right to Nebby and tries to free the Pokemon, with Pikachu and Gladion's Umbreon eventually being able to break it free of its captivity. As the wormhole then closes, Nebby, which is technically called Cosmog, ends up evolving into a Cosmoem, and this energy is able to rip back open the wormhole as the same type of Ultra Beast that attacked Lily appears and comes through it. Faba gets knocked out from the beast in a rather satisfying way, but Gladion steps in front of Lily to fend off the beast from hurting his sister again. But their mother ends up jumping in front of both of them, being fully captured by the Ultra Beast to protect them as it takes Lusamine back through the wormhole as it closes up, successfully stealing their mother into another dimension right in front of them. Jeez, and you think your relationship with your parents is weird. After their mom is taken, the siblings plan to work together to get her back, but first they need to find a way to reopen the wormhole. As Professor Burnett helps out with this, Ash gets sent to keep protecting the newly evolved Nebby and continue on as is for now. To prepare, Lily heads back home and pulls a Serena, changing her look, with Gladion showing up thinking he knows a way to get an Ultra Wormhole to open. He is willing to do this on his own, but Lily convinces him that she is coming along as she jumps on the back of Savali with Gladion as they then ride off together. At school, Ash fills in the others about what has happened, with Lily's butler coming in with the professor saying that Lily has gone missing along with her brother. The siblings reach a place called Vast Pony Canyon, as they find a way to open a door to get access inside, to which they are greeted by the evolution line of Jangmo-o, Hakamo-o, and a Kamo-o, with the latter being a totem Pokemon that the brother and sister battle together to defeat. With the area they're in being unstable, they end up at the fate of the collapsing ceiling, but just in time, the others who had gone after them to save them from this are able to rescue them and convince Gladion that this is them all in this together like at the end of High School Musical. He begrudgingly accepts them them joining in on their family rescue as they all head forward towards the altar of the sun, as the 4 island guardians appear in front of them, revealing the final 2 being Tapu Fini and Tapu Bulu. They all begin to explain why they are there and that they need to meet with the legendary Pokemon Solgaleo to help them. The 4 guardians discuss things for a moment before letting out a cry in unison that forms a sphere that ends up displaying both Solgaleo and Lunala entering into a battle after entering in an area from separate Ultra Wormholes, as a Cosmog appears as they understand that it looks just like Nebby. It's also revealed to everyone that Tapu Koko led Ash to find Cosmog and be entrusted with the Pokemon all along. I mean, well, we saw that, we knew that. Once it's revealed that Nebby has now evolved, the Guardians begin some sort of ritual for it, as Professor Kukui gets a call from Professor Burnett as she is on her way with him walking away from this area now, whispering to his Braviary through his Pokeball as he arrives riding on the back of it, right to where she is and is able to pick her up, and she is pretty happy to see him. Maybe there's something going on between these two. Back at the ritual, the 4 Guardians take position over the pillars that represent them, creating a tone and harmony that has the ground below glow along a set pattern that eventually opens up the altar for them all. A beam of light shoots directly into Nebby, evolving the Pokemon once more into Solgaleo, shocking everyone. Lily walks up to it and is able to hug the legendary Pokemon without fear, as they then ask the big sun beast if it can carry them through a wormhole. A new Z crystal that doesn't fit in a regular Z ring appears, as the Tapus take Ash's Z ring and perform another ritual that transforms it into a Z power ring, upgrading it for a whole bunch of new power to unlock. The mystery Z crystal ends up being Solganium Z, clearly able to work directly with Lunala. Alright, I'm kidding. Of course it's Solgaleo. The legendary Pokemon lowers itself to allow anyone joining in on the interdimensional traveling a ride, as Solgaleo then waits for Ash to learn and perform the poses necessary to activate the Z power ring, linking to Solgaleo now with the symbol on the Pokemon's head as it performs the move Searing Sunray Smash, opening up an Ultra Wormhole as they all go through it while both professors arrive in time to watch them take off. On the other side of the wormhole, they all arrive in ultra deep space filled with nothing but empty space and floating bits of land. We get to see several Nihilego around them, as the Ultra Beasts are not just a one-off Pokemon. As the group have a lot of ground to cover, they begin planning and splitting off into teams, but the now captured and seemingly corrupted Lusamine appears and commands that they all stay away from her, with Lily not listening and charging forward anyway, as the Mom Beast sets up a barricade of sharp rocks to stop her, as Ash jumps in to save Lily from them. Gladion has his Umbreon break the rocks as Ash wants to proceed forward, but with Nihilego pulling energy from Lusamine, they need to handle this with caution. Through Lusamine, she responds to them all in a way that makes it seem like she's excited to have met the Ultra Beast, as her controlled fusion pushes away from them further, confusing the others if it's actually Lusamine speaking or if it's a corrupted version of her from the beast itself. With the attacks of their Pokemon not helping in getting through or making a difference in the situation, Lily, Gladion, and Ash make their way further to confront Lusamine, as they and all of the others battle further with the Pokemon she is sending out to stall them. All of them seem to be under some form of control as well, but when Lusamine sends out her Clefable, this becomes even more personal to Lily, as this was her childhood Clefairy that her mother evolved against her wishes. She pulls out her old Poké Doll and clutches it tight, trying to get through to the Pokemon, as Clefable eventually snaps out of the controlled state it was in and joins the fight alongside her. Ash advances as well along with Nebby, as Lily and Gladion soon catch up along with their Pokemon, enraging Lusamine even further, sending in a powerful attack right towards Ash that Nebby intercepts to protect him. As she continues to move further away, Lily wants to go and confront her mother by herself, asking Gladion to stay back as she does this. Lily makes her way up to her and begins emotionally yelling at her, saying that she hates her and breaks down her character as a spoiled, selfish brat. She knows that this form of her, whatever it may be, Ultra Beast or not, isn't her mother, and she demands to have her mother back now. Through this, Lusamine is able to snap out of the control of the Ultra Beast and mentions her daughter's name, trying to reach back out to her before the beast takes over once more, sucking up an even greater amount of energy and becoming more powerful and even larger in size. It tries to attack Lily, but Gladion jumps in to save her, as he fears that the bond between the Ultra Beast and their mother is too strong based on their interests of one another. Ash tries to go in with an attack as the siblings try to become a distraction, with Ash's Electrium Z transforming into a new Z crystal that represents Pikachu's tail. This new crystal is known as Pikachunium Z, as him and Pikachu share in a fist bump, with Pikachu wearing Ash's signature hat, downgrading Ash from Hat Kid to kid, with the Z Crystal now being activated and Pikachu being able to send in the new attack, the 10 million volt Thunderbolt, a move 100 times stronger than your average Thunderbolt, that ends up hitting Lusamine directly, collapsing the beast-human hybrid to the ground as the special crystal reverts back to its original form. The siblings then rush in to separate the two beings, rescuing their mother from Nihilego as it then flies away. Their mom eventually wakes up and she is back to normal, albeit in a very weakened state, with her kids help propping her up, as she says whatever she went through was horrifying and dark, until the bright light of Lily's voice helped her start pulling through, with her apologizing for everything she put her kids and their friends through as they share in a nice family hug. Lily breaks down in tears as well at the thought of actually having her mother back. Together, they all leave the ultra deep space area and return back to the altar through another ultra wormhole, as the class of students celebrate in their collaborative achievement in pulling this rescue off. Even Team Rocket is happy to see them all okay. Then Beware rushes them out of the area.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Poplio!
Life continues on for the group from there, with Lily dressed back how she used to be, and her mother recovering from all the events that took place. Nebby has disappeared back to the wild for now, leaving Ash wondering where it went off to. Professor Kukui and Professor Burnett spend some time together walking along the beach, sharing a cute moment that reveals how close they actually are, as she points at him and chooses him like a Pokemon playfully, as he then pulls out a Pokeball with a ring inside and he chooses her as well, asking for her hand in marriage, with her saying yes, and Ash finding out about this and being excited for both of them. Rushing into a wedding from there, the students end up helping put together a ceremony for them, surprising them both with a beach wedding as Ash becomes the ring bearer. Lusamine shows up to the wedding and explains that Fava will be working under the supervision of Wick now, as he then apologizes for his actions that caused the whole mess in the first place. The Aether Foundation also has a new sector in operation that they invite Ash and all his classmates to be a part of, dubbed the Ultra Guardians, who are tasked with any situation involving Ultra Beasts that may happen, as they all then agree to join up. After the bouquet is thrown, Nebby goes running through the sky celebrating the wedding day, as they are happy to see their legendary buddy say a brief hello before disappearing once more. As some time passes and more adventures happen, Ash gets to visit another one of the islands, this time visiting the Ula Ula Island, as we see Hala join in on these travels and even has his Crabrawler evolve into a Crabominable. At one point, the Ultra Guardian Task Force gets called in by Lusamine for an Ultra Beast alert, turning this class into the secret elite group of spy kids. So the Power Rangers here end up getting shown an Ultra Beast coming out of a wormhole, and it is identified as a Buzzwole. And to keep the region safe, they must capture it in these specially designed Mr. Beast balls. Sorry, just regular Beast balls. This powerful Ultra Beast seems agitated being in this unfamiliar territory, causing it to face off with other Pokemon in the area as Ash and the others begin to battle it, until it begins to have a flex off with Kiawe, as Ash tosses a Beast Ball and successfully captures the Ultra Beast. During all of this, another mysterious Ultra Beast creature appears in the area as well, and begins following around Pikachu out of curiosity, eventually running into Pikachu after Ash catches the Buzzwole, as it then flies off from there. Either way, they're able to send the Buzzwole back home through a new Ultra Wormhole, as they're all excited for a job well done for their first ever mission since joining the initiative. We enter into a little side plot that brings in some wrestling as Ash is watching the Battle Royale match, with the fan favorite Master Royale having his Incineroar, the fully evolved form of Litten, by his side. Ash ends up even getting to participate in the Battle Royale along with fellow classmates Kiawe and Sophocles, with the Master Royal ending up winning the whole match in general. But hey, Ash's Litten learned Flame Charge, and even evolved into a Torracat, all through having a one-on-one battle with the Master Royale, that Ash also loses. Later on, the mysterious purple Pokemon following Pikachu, which is the Pokemon Poipole, which just sounds like I'm saying purple weird, makes sense, it's purple, comes back around and messes with Pikachu, causing it to chase after it. Poipole, however, ended up wanting to just have some fun with the electric mouse. Ash gets involved in the mix by the end of things, and is granted permission from Lusamine to take care of this little Ultra Beast until they can find the direct wormhole that can bring it back home, as it then goes directly to one of Ash's Beast Balls and captures itself, joining Ash's team for now. Another mission finally calls to them after Sophocles tells the others the legend of the Celestial Starship, as this mysterious creature fell from space some time ago, with the ability of that creature being able to become the space-traveling vessel itself. Sophocles proves the story somewhat real after accidentally finding where the creature is buried, and after he gets the rest of the Ultra Guardians to help unearth it, they don't know what to make of the creature in full. After freeing it from its 200 years of being buried, the Ultra Guardians are officially debriefed about this creature named Celesteela. as it is in fact an Ultra Beast, and with the fact that it has this built-up stored, easily flammable gas to help it take back off with its spaceship traversal abilities, the launch could prove to be deadly. They have to try and stop the beast from blasting off, and not in the Team Rocket way of blasting off. As it becomes ready for launch, Ash and Kiawe try and hold it off as they send in their rideable Pokemon to create a shield of sorts that can hold back the blast radius as a form of a contingency plan. And good thing, because Celesteela takes off, leaving the damage to a minimum thanks to the barrier they had built as they watch the Ultra Beast launch itself into space for its own adventures and journeys among the stars. It may not have been captured, but at least they were able to save the land from what could have been catastrophic. Ash eventually decides to continue on to face the grand trials left for him, as he now heads back to Ula Ula Island to conquer what lies ahead. Back at the school, Professor Kukui gets the students to aid in helping establish the Alola region's first Pokemon League, much to their excitement. The ultra forever tired Nanu is shown to us as this police officer in that area, getting a call from Team Rocket's leader Giovanni, showing us that he has some shady connections to the OG bad guy and his organization. But he clearly is living his own life now in the Alola region, as he ends up running into Ash, but he doesn't want to directly reveal that he's the island kahuna to him. At one point, to kinda ditch Ash, he asks him to look after this Alola Meowth back at the station, as he does so for now with Nanu heading out for no real particular reason, as another character named Acerola along with her own Mimikyu come walking in looking for Nanu.
And it's a shiny Mimikyu.
She ends up telling Ash that Nanu is her uncle, as then she leads him to where she works at, which is the library, with Poipole being excited to see all of the books there, only getting taken aback by seeing a page in a book that shows what we will come to learn as the Ultra version of Necrozma, with the other two legendaries Solgaleo and Lunala by its side. Acerola ends up explaining the tale of the Blinding One, a Pokemon brighter than anything the world could ever produce, being around as the Alola region originally formed, as all three legendary Pokemon together brought light to the land, and the people of the land becoming grateful for this. There are some beliefs that the Blinding One itself is an Ultra Beast, but it is not confirmed to be true. Nanu arrives back around to Ash's bombardment of challenging him, figuring out just who he is, with Nanu only deciding to see what skill Ash has outside of an official trial, mainly thanks to Acerola pushing him to do so. Nanu sends out his Crocodile, as Ash sends out his Lycanroc, with the two having fierce looks in their eyes, with the Lycanroc getting dirtied at one point and going Goblin mode once more. And due to it not listening to Ash, and just doing whatever it wants, enough damage is done to Lycanroc for Acerola to call the match. Ash rushes to care for his injured pupper, as Nanu tells him to just head back to the other island, but he refuses, claiming that he will get stronger to then face him for a rematch, with Nanu caring little either way. Later, Ash speaks with an upset and angry Lycanroc, relaying back the same feelings. Acerola thinks that the island guardian Tapu Bulu could help them train in the meantime, as Ash gives his Lycanroc a bunch of food and gets it ready and determined to go and train. They make their way to where the guardian resides, and upon reaching the sleeping guardian, it displays some cool moves that help bring lush life to the area, and this mystical power ends up instantly teaching Rowlet a new move to Ash's surprise. As they spend some time playing around as the rain comes in, Tapu Bulu pushes Lycanroc to join in with them in the mud, causing Lycanroc to become enraged again, but Ash jumps in to help calm it down, making it remember the days of it being a Rockruff, and that playing in the rain and mud was a fun thing that never bothered it before. In fact, Rockruff quite liked it. This leads to a quick breakthrough for the pupper, as it happily hangs out with Ash and joins in. Tapu Bulu now comes over to Ash and offers him a battle, having Lycanroc face off against the Guardian. Lycanroc ends up getting knocked into the lake as Ash worries the worst with the rage that can come from Lycanroc, but it just comes out of the water and shakes itself dry a bit with no issues happening. Through this intense battle, Lycanroc ends up learning and showing off a new move, Stone Edge, causing Tapu Bulu to protect itself then officially call the match, with the Guardian seeing just how strong the Lycanroc is now. Tapu Bulu begins growing a tree filled with oran berries for Ash and his Pokemon to have as a sign of respect, as Ash appreciates the training that the Guardian was able to give him. Ash now heads back with Acerola, confident that he can face off against Nanu now. This next part is very Mimikyu themed, and for that, I love it. Ash meets with Nanu again, declaring to face his trial, but Nanu agrees on the condition that he must face some other trainers and their Mimikyu first at an abandoned Megamart beforehand, with Acerola looking over him for this. Ash gets to the Megamart and ends up realizing that his opponents for this are none other than Team Rocket with their Mimikyu. As this battle begins, we cut back to the school classroom, where the students are, funny enough, learning about Mimikyu, and by extension, us the audience, finding a unique way to explain some things about the Pokemon without it being used as exposition during the moment for Ash. Mimikyu ends up being a tough challenge for Pikachu, wearing him down as Team Rocket show off their own Z-move Pokemon powers, getting into formation and having Mimikyu use the move Let's Snuggle Forever, pulling Pikachu underneath the costume it wears and attacks it within its deadly darkness, but Pikachu ended up using Electro Web to protect itself, allowing Ash to return a Z-move attack back, as the Z-Crystal transforms into Pikachunium Z once more. Ash puts his hat on Pikachu and sends in the overpowered 10 million volt Thunderbolt that manages to defeat the Mimikyu, with Ash clearing the trial, much to the annoyance of Nanu upon hearing this, but he still delivers on the promise to give him his grand trial. For the battle, Nanu sends out his Crocodile, with Ash sending in his pumped up Lycanroc, with the battle still being a tough one between the two Pokemon. Lycanroc ends up getting dirty again, but being able to calm itself down from the red-eye state it was falling into, and now using that energy to take out the Crocodile. Nanu sends out his Sableye next as Lycanroc starts becoming enraged again throughout the course of this next fight, but now finds a way to fully use that anger as just pure strength, still listening to Ash's commands. Lycanroc defeats the Sableye, but is clearly exhausted from the battle and energy output, but Tapu Bulu flies in real quick to give Lycanroc a Citrus Berry to help it recover to continue in battle. Nanu's final Pokemon ends up being an Alolan Persian, that proves itself powerful against the dog, once again getting into a rage-filled red-eyed mode for another time in this battle. But this time it was a purposeful tactic of Nanu, as he knows Lycanroc can be pushed to a state that makes it reckless, but it still ends up hitting hard, going after the puffy-faced kitty cat, with Nanu taunting Ash, calling him a worthless trainer, as it can no longer calm his Lycanroc down, and at one point it ends up turning on Ash and hitting him instead. It stares at Ash with its glowing red eyes, as Ash now understands that Lycanroc is still in control in this state, looking for Ash to give trust in it, as they then continue to work together, with Nanu using his own Z Crystal to have Persian use the Z move Black Hole Eclipse, as Ash uses his Z move as well, sending in a Continental Crush, as both Z moves stop each other from fully being pulled off, giving a chance for Lycanroc to rush in with an attack, and Ash officially defeats Nanu as his last Pokemon is revealed to be knocked out. He awards Ash with a Lycanium Z, as it directly is made for Lycanroc, as Tapu Bulu comes by again to deliver another Citrus Berry for Lycanroc. In the end, with another grand trial complete, Ash leaves the island as Acerola looks forward to seeing him again at some point, leaving Nanu there in somewhat higher spirits towards Ash, thinking he's quite the interesting guy. But now it's time for another Ultra Guardians mission, with two Ultra Beasts appearing, being Xurkitree and Blacephalon. These very interesting and odd Pokemon offer the students a difficult challenge for them to capture the two, finding an eventual opening as they are distracted, with Ash using his new Lycanroc-specific Z Crystal to perform the move Splinted Storm Shards, hurting the Ultra Beasts enough for them to capture them, as they then get sent back to their respective places through an Ultra Wormhole. Their next mission comes not too long after this, as the Ultra Guardians are sent in to deal with a Stakataka, weakening this seemingly impenetrable structure and being able to calm it down from its rampage, as then it happily gets captured and then released back through the wormhole. Another Ultra Wormhole appears, and this time it hangs above the altar of the sun as it begins sucking up any Ultra Aura in the area, pulling away the ability for any trainer to use the power of their Z-Rings, as now the Ultra Guardians end up back on a mission to deal with this as they arrive back to the altar, with Gladion showing up as well, all with the abilities to use their Z-Rings still intact. From the Ultra Wormhole, the legendary Pokemon Lunala appears from it, but the problem isn't Lunala, it's what's followed it, as Necrozma summons itself through the Ultra Wormhole as well. Necrozma is clearly chasing Lunala, as the dark and mysterious third legendary is wanting to drain any Ultra Aura that Lunala has. The Ultra Guardians all come together for the rest of their mission and head towards the two beasts. Tapu Koko also gets involved by trying to shield Lunala from Necrozma, allowing the Moonbat to get away for the moment and hold back Necrozma, but this doesn't hold for long, as Necrozma breaks past the Guardian and continues on Lunala's tail. Lunala tries fighting back to defend itself, but gets hit with a strong direct attack that knocks it into the ocean below. Ash and Gladion begin intervening by attacking Necrozma, but now it shoots back at the Ultra Guardians, causing Lily to begin falling to her peril as Lunala springs back into action to catch her. Everyone now begins attacking Necrozma together, but nothing seems to really be working. Poipole is entranced by Necrozma as the Rotom deck starts connecting some dots, believing that the Blinding One and Necrozma are related. Well, yeah, but let's let them figure that out, okay? Necrozma grabs Lunala, seemingly trying to control the legendary Pokemon, as part of it splits off and fuses with Lunala, creating Dawnwing's Necrozma. As things look bad, Nebby comes through the Ultra Wormhole, with Ash and the others excited to see Nebby again. But the legendary Solgaleo is now quickly thrown into the battle. Nebby is able to hit the Dawnwing's Necrozma, having it separate from Lunala, but puts a target on its back with Necrozma coming and grabbing Nebby, splitting again and taking control of it, forcing it to become a Duskmane Necrozma, opening a wormhole and then going through it. In the meantime, they all head back to the Ultra Guardian's base of operations, being able to bring Lunala there to help heal the legendary Pokemon, as they then begin to understand everything that is going on and strategize what to do next. Lusamine starts believing that there may be a connection to Necrozma and the Blinding One as well, with Poipole trying to communicate something, but it's like playing charades here. As a new day dawns in the Alola region, the island kahunas all head to their own ruins to pray, specifically to the different island guardians, with the Ultra Guardians now surrounding Lunala, as the power from their different Z-rings ends up glowing and restoring Lunala back to full health. The Ultra Guardians are set on now going with Lunala to find and save Nebby from this evil. Lunala opens up another Ultra wormhole, and our young heroes all head in along with it. On the other side, they enter a dark area. Poipole is excited as we see that this is the home world, filled with other Poipole just like it, as well as its evolution, Naganadel. Poipole jumps in to explain to the others that Ash and company are not your enemies here, as Naganadel is clearly weak as they offer it food that it eventually takes, with them all hearing a voice that tells them thanks, with the Naganadel revealing to be the one able to communicate with them. The Naganadel understands that they are looking to save their friend Nebby, but it tells them to leave Necrozma be, as they rely on the power of Necrozma, further explaining this with a vision for them all to see, showing a world that was graced with the shining light from this Ultra Necrozma, aka the Blinding One. We then see a meteor coming down to them as Necrozma steps in to destroy it, but at the cost of Necrozma turning into its base black form. It saved their world, but in doing so, it lost its own light. As Necrozma fell into a deep sleep and the powers of the light no longer being there, the world started to die, as the remaining members of the species barely making do with any remaining light left over. The Naganadel has been trying to find a new place for its species to live, but it is becoming old and sick. All hope was gone until Nebby and Lunala came around, with Necrozma finally waking up and going after them to absorb the power needed to get its light back, as they want Necrozma to help restore their world to a viable place for them to live once again and for their species to continue on. Stuck in a moral conundrum, needing to free Nebby and save it from its controlled state, but also understanding the struggle of survival for this species and why they want Necrozma to succeed, they all ponder on what to do. But Duskmane Necrozma shows back up and attacks Lunala, sending them all into another battle. Ash is left wanting to find the right solution for both saving Nebby and helping save this world and its inhabitants. Ash comes up with a plan that requires the Ultra Guardians to give their Z power to Necrozma in exchange for Nebby, with Gladion agreeing to this idea. During all of this, Professor Burnett ends up understanding the text regarding the Blinding One, learning that it's not just the two other legendaries that help share the light with Necrozma, but it was the people and Pokemon of Alola as well. The Ultra Guardians form up and have all of their chosen Pokemon to use their Z power on, as they all send in their individual attacks to cause a combined hit to strike Duskmane Necrozma with a now singular energy beam. Duskmane Necrozma does take in all of the energy, but it also sends an attack right back at our group. Afterwards, it begins to charge at them as Lunala gets back up to tackle it to protect them. Tapu Koko then is seen sending its own energy through the Ultra Wormhole, with those outside finally establishing a connection to communicate with the Ultra Guardians on the other side. Both sides swap information that they have learned, as they believe they need to mimic what Tapu Koko was doing, having the Ultra Guardians and their Pokemon do just that. At the same time, Lusamine asked the island kahunas for their help as well, getting them all to do the same along with others around them, as everyone is trying to push this energy through the Ultra Wormhole. Duskmane Necrozma feels this presence and focuses on it, with the species of the land that they're in joining in along, with more Pokemon and people on the outside doing so as well. From all of this power, it feels Necrozma separates from Nebby, but it's still targeting this energy towards the Ultra Guardians, with the island kahunas now sending in the power of their Z-move attacks as Ash sets up his Z-power ring with the special Solgaleo crystal, needing Nebby to lend his power, or at least what power it has left. Ash, Gladion, Nebby, and Lunala all stand together now, sending in their Z-moves at Necrozma, with the power finally changing Necrozma to its full blinding light form, as the Ultra Guardians watch in shock. Ultra Necrozma is back, and the overall mission seems to be a success, having brought this light back to a dying world, and Nebby, as well as Lunala, being saved from Necrozma's capture. With the wormhole now beginning to close, Poipole decides to leave Ash's team and stay with its own kind, who are now able to have a home again. It wants to become the protector for its kind as Ash says goodbye, as Poipole and him begin to tear up, with Poipole drawing Ash and Pikachu's face in the sand below, as Ash and friends now head back through the wormhole to the Alola region. as we see life turn back to normal, with school continuing on for the students and the world is at peace once more, for now. And after all of that, Season 2 of the Sun and Moon era has come to an end, giving us an arc that has some familiarity, as Ash does train with his Pokemon and further his own goals on his adventure, but also giving us a giant epic arc that turns Ash and his friends into these kid superheroes that deal with the biggest, weirdest, and wildest threats that get sent their way from literal other dimensions, leading to fighting against a near unstoppable being to help it restore the light missing from the world, or worlds, or dimensions, or whatever, you get it. But we aren't done just yet, as we have one final season to go to wrap up the Sun and Moon saga. So let's see how easy or complicated our final bit of time in the Alola region ends up being.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Rowlet!
We now enter the final season of the Sun and Moon era, as our students here are still sent on their Ultra Guardian missions, now even being sent on investigations just to find out what's happening and if there's any true lead to follow for their Ultra Beast responsibilities. But even if they don't lead anywhere, they can still end up lending a helping hand to those in need, so that's nice. We also meet some new characters this season like Hao, Paula's grandson, as he makes his way to the island in the efforts of challenging him. He ends up crossing paths with Ash as they decide to have a battle with his Dartrix, the middle evolution in the Rowlet line, against Ash's Rowlet. Ash loses the battle here as he ends up dropping his Gracium Z crystal into the grass and went down to look for it as Dartrix takes out Rowlet in the meantime. Ash notices that Rowlet is for some reason more focused on this particular battle, and Ash offers Hao a rematch, but for now he declines as he has to make it somewhere else on time, but they agree on battling the next day. For some training, Ash brings Rowlet back to its bird friends that we saw at the start of the series to learn a few things from them. Going beyond this, Ash helps Rowlet learn some new moves before they next meet with Hao. When Hao comes back around for their rematch, Howlet is able to get the upper hand this time, especially with Ash not fumbling the Z crystal and being able to use the Bloom Doom Z move, defeating the Dartrix. The two part ways for now, but they both look forward to their next battle with each other in the future. Tapu Koko shows back up to battle against Ash to test him once more, but as the battle gets cooking, both Ash and Tapu Koko's attacks collide as we then break the veil into another dimension, as another Tapu Koko, this one being the shiny variant, is also sending in an attack, fully opening a rift that sends Ash and Pikachu into a different place somewhere in the desert, horrifyingly running into an Ultra Beast, with this one being Guzzlord, quickly being chased by the beast once it takes notice of them. A mysterious trainer and his unknown Pokemon come in to rescue them, facing off against the Guzzlord, allowing them time to flee. Once they are all in a safe place now, the trainer introduces himself as Dia, and his Pokemon as Zeraora. Dia is confused with how Ash ended up in this area that, as he claims, is restricted, with Ash explaining what happened, but even then, the explanation doesn't really help much as Ash truly doesn't know what happened either, or where he even is. Dia explains that the Guzzlord showed up one day in this land and started to eat everything in sight, living up to its name, turning a city that was once there into the ruins of what's left of it. A group going by the name of the Ultra Rangers tried to fight back against Guzzlord, but to no avail. The only two left in the area are Dia and Zeraora, as they hold on to the place that this used to be. Ash mentions that he is part of the Ultra Guardians, but this means nothing to Dia as he sees Ash as just a child, dismissing Ash when he wants to help out. Ash gets kinda pissed off at this response and wants to battle Dia as Pikachu faces off against his Zeraora. After a few blows back and forth, Zeraora is able to defeat Pikachu, with Dia telling him to just return home, to which he doesn't know how. With Dia trying to organize a way for him to get out as he himself was a member of the Ultra Rangers, the two end up having to traverse the area together, eventually arriving at Dia's house as Ash notices the building looking just like the Pokemon School. Looking around the building further, Ash knows that this was in fact the Pokemon School, with Dia thinking that Ash has to be from some parallel world, explaining the whole process and concept in a rather school lesson fashion, starting to worry Ash as he warns him that potentially choosing certain wrong paths in his world may result in what happened here in this one. The two spend more time together as Dia explains how he and Zeraora met, with the Pokemon not really being his Pokemon, but rather a partner with a shared desire to send Guzzlord back to where it came from. He also talks about Guzzlord's one weakness that they've found so far, with that being the tiny little face that it has above its giant mouth body. When discussing the power of Z moves, Dia explains that there is no power to use them once the land became barren and Tapu Koko vanished. Ash gets psyched up to get back to training with Pikachu for this situation, getting Zeraora into the mix after not having any interest in getting involved, and honestly being pretty frustrated with Ash and Pikachu's peps in their steps, but Pikachu here gets a chance at showing Zeraora that it is powerful as well, landing a Thunderbolt on the fast Pokemon as Pikachu is able to keep up with it. Both trainers and Pokemon are able to bond a bit better now afterwards. All the commotion though alerts the Guzzlord, as they spring into action and begin trying to lure it away towards an Ultra Wormhole. As they are on the run from the beast chasing them, they come up with a plan. As they begin approaching the limited time left open wormhole, Pikachu uses his Electro Web to stop the beast for a moment in its tracks, with Pikachu and Zeraora going in to land some good blows before Guzzlord is able to break free, as it now begins to start fighting back, with Dia believing that they should retreat for the time being. That shiny Tapu Koko then shows back up and confronts Guzzlord, as it then shouts out loud, allowing power to come back to the trainer's Z-Rings, as together Pikachu and Zeraora perform Gigavolt Havoc that combined is able to push the giant beast back into and through the Ultra Wormhole before it closes, saving the land from Guzzlord's continued wrath. Dia can't believe it. After all this time, they finally accomplished what seemingly felt impossible. With this Tapu Koko shooting a lightning bolt up into the skies, Dia knows that they have to get Ash back to his world right now, having another battle that feeds into a dimensional rift opening again as the two make their way back to their world, with Dia more determined than ever to help restore the Alola region in his world, with Ash vowing to protect his. When Ash returns thinking he's been gone for days, virtually no time has passed in his world, as Dia, Zeraora, and some help from their Tapu Koko begin restoring the land for a brighter future. The holidays are coming up. As a nice little surprise, Misty and Brock took Ash up on his offer to visit him and his friends in the Alola region and see the area. Brock, aside from being distracted by Nurse Joy at the Pokemon Center, gets distracted from doing some other stuff in the region, with everyone else seeing that he can actually help out here with Nurse Joy when an injured Pokemon gets brought in. As the others spend the day together further, Misty is able to enjoy some nice food with everyone, check out the local market, walk around the mall, and even catch some waves going Mantine surfing. Later on, they end up beginning to wrap up the day as an explosion catches their attention, noticing that Team Rocket has captured the Mantine as they are piloting their new Mecha Meowth. Misty can't believe that all the way in Alola, Team Rocket is still up to their old tricks. Misty sends out her Gyarados in to help take them out, as it's able to wrap itself around the Mecha Meowth, with all of the group's other Pokemon sending in attacks to start damaging it. With Team Rocket trying to fight back, Misty Mega evolves her Gyarados, with Ash, Kiawe, and Lana having their Pokemon send in some Z-move attacks, dealing some solid damage as Mega Gyarados sends in a Hydro Pump, dealing the final blow, exploding the Mecha Meowth with Team Rocket blasting off. Once the day is saved, Ash spends some time with Misty on a walk near the water, noticing that Brock set up a tent and has whipped up a meal for them just like the old days, appreciating being in each other's company once more. Together, they head over to Akala Island and explore that area, climbing the volcano and just seeing the sights. Much to Brock's excitement, he meets Olivia, and even better, she takes an interest in him and specifically battling him based on his resume of being a former gym leader in the Kanto region and specializing in rock-type Pokemon. As they get into all of that, Team Rocket decides to cause some trouble for them, with Brock grabbing Olivia's hand as she sets off her Z-Crystal for her Lycanroc, as it sends in a heart-shaped Continental Crush, as it uses that crush part literally, continuing to heavily push down on Team Rocket's latest mech as it eventually blows up, and Team Rocket does the whole blasting off again thing. After another day saved and a peaceful end to it all, Misty and Brock are happy to have come to the Alola region and thank Ash for having them there, claiming that they will not forget this trip. They all reaffirm their individual dreams in life, with Ash still heading to be a Pokemon Master, Misty wanting to make the Cerulean Gym the best gym in the world, and Brock, well, he's already been where he feels he belongs and wants to be, helping Pokemon. Ash and Misty vow to battle again next time they meet each other, as they then put their hands in a circle and lift them up into the air to show their close friendship, like Yugi and his friends did at the start of the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, as both old companions now head back to the Kanto region. Professor Kukui brings the class to Pony Island, as Ash sets his sights on finding Tapu Fini to face off against the Island Guardian as a more makeshift grand trial, since currently there is no Island Kahuna at the moment to fill that role. However, they all end up coming across Hapu, along with her Golurk, who are attending to their radishes as Hapu thinks that they are radish thieves and sends in Golurk to face off against Ash, with Pikachu jumping into battle. The Golurk though quickly knocks out Pikachu before Hapu then walks off without even confirming what they were doing around her radishes, as they were just admiring the Golurk at work. After getting Pikachu healed, Nurse Joy explains that Hapu lives alone and has been dealing with a constant theft of her radishes, explaining why she was quick to attack them. Later on, Ash seeks out Tapu Fini as he comes across the actual Radish Bandits, being this trio of Team Skullgrunts, and demands that they face him in battle now. With Hapu seeing this all happen along with her radishes being involved, Ash explains to her that these are the real culprits, as she sends out her Mudsdale to take out all of their Pokemon. After this, Hapu Hapu apologizes to Ash for earlier before potentially promising a rematch sometime in the future. Later on, Hapu is now praying at the ancient ruins nearby, seeking guidance from her grandfather as she wants to become the new Island Kahuna, but is confused why Tapu Fini has yet to bestow the role onto her. Soon after, her Mudsdale is going out of control and she can't calm it down, but Ash sees this and notices that there is a Corsola horn piece lodged in its hoof, and Ash helps take it out, much to the horse's relief and to Hapu's as well, as she then thanks Ash and wants to repay him some way, as he suggests a battle. In the meantime, Gladion shows up and speaks with Lily, as he has the same goal as Ash, wanting to face off against Tapu Fini in a makeshift grand trial in the absence of an Island Kahuna. He talks to his sister further regarding Tapu Fini apparently being able to let a person see someone who has passed away, as he hopes that he can meet his dad, with Lily recounting that their father had passed away in an Ultra Wormhole related incident. They both really never got to know him as it happened at a young age, but Lily decides to get into better spirits, claiming to help Gladion and somehow summoning the guardian of the island for them. We see that Hapu is not willing to give Ash a battle though, claiming that she doesn't do so for fun. As Ash mentions that he has plans to face Tapu Fini in battle for his grand trial, she gets angry, claiming that he has no idea what a grand trial is in terms of what it represents and the exact traditions behind it. With no clear way of having a full conversation digging deeper into all these things, or being able to understand one another, Ash encounters Gladion again, as they use this opportunity to have a battle between them and their Lycanroc. Hapu though ends up overseeing it regardless, as Ash's Lycanroc starts getting the upper hand in battle until the end, with Gladion being impressed with the training that he has had with his Lycanroc, and mentions that Tapu Bulu's training must have really helped him out a good bit. Hapu is now more curious than ever about this Ash fella, seeing that there is maybe more to Ash than she assumed. As the battle continues, Gladion finishes things off with a Dragonium Z crystal, having his Lycanroc use the Z move Devastating Drake, defeating Ash. After the battle, Tapu Fini appears above them, flying by with the others excited to have seen the Guardian Pokemon. In the middle of their travels on this island, different characters get to have some emotional breakthroughs thanks to the mist left by Tapu Fini, that allows some of them to meet with someone in their lives that has died. While Ash and Kiawe admit to Hapu that they met an older man already, with her confirming that it was her grandfather, Mallow heads out of the area in a panic, with Lana explaining to the others that Mallow's mother had passed away from some illness, as her memories of the past hurt her deeply. She explains that once when they were walking together in the woods after she was recently let out of the hospital, they came across a Bonsweet that her mother ends up catching for her, but not long after, her mom ends up back in the hospital. As she continues to break down further, she explains that she couldn't take always hearing her mom apologizing constantly, emotionally saying that she hated her doing this, with these words being the last she was able to ever tell her mother before she ended up passing away. Tapu Fini is watching over all of this from a distance as it starts laying out the mist throughout the area, with Gladion and Lily finding themselves within it. But first, we see Ash and his Torracat are in it as well, as Torracat's old friend Stoutland appears, having a moment to share in the joy of seeing each other again, and even using this time to help teach Torracat Fire Blast. Mallow is forced to face her traumatic memories as she soon finds herself seeing her mother, as they share in a big hug, with her breaking down even more, crying to her mother that she is sorry for her last words before she was gone, as her mother says that she should have thanked her more for everything that she did to help her. Mallow is able to reconcile her long trapped emotions with her mother, thanking her for everything, and even giving her her best friend in Bonsweet that has now become a strong Serena alongside her. During all of this, Hapu focuses on making her way to confront Tapu Fini, telling it to free the others from the mist, and when it doesn't listen, she sends out her Golurk to attack, but the guardian Pokemon disappears, revealing her grandfather there, as he informs her that Tapu Fini has selected her to be the new Kahuna for the island, especially for her selfless efforts to go and confront her to save her friends, showing the guardian that she has what it takes to fully be given this honor. Tapu Fini now begins clearing up the mist as Stoutland disappears from Torracat once again, as Mallow's mother follows suit, as their final goodbyes are made, helping them all come to terms with letting their loved ones pass. Afterwards, a wild shaman, yes, the mythical Pokemon, is spotted by Mallow, as she has the little Pokemon stay in her care until it's the season that it is able to change its form and fly away. The group comes back together to discuss their experiences, with Gladion and Lily sad that they didn't experience anything regarding their father, as Hapu mentions that it means that he is potentially still out there in the world somewhere alive, causing them to want to speak to their mother about this. Hapu also announces that she has been bestowed the honor of Island Kahuna, and soon enough, Ash will be able to face this grand trial against Hapu. Once she is fully initiated into the role in the special ceremony, she grants Ash the chance to battle with her, with Ash sending out Pikachu to face off against her Mudsdale, as the horse holds up against Pikachu's attacks with a solid defense full of powerful counters, with the Mudsdale even getting to perform the Z move Z-move Tectonic Rage, cracking open the ground below Pikachu, with the surrounding water starting to come into effect on the battlefield. Once Mudsdale gets soaked itself, Pikachu sends in an Electro Web. With the horse having the ability Soak, absorbing in the seawater to become a full water type, this gives Ash and Pikachu the advantage here as they activate the Z-move Gigavolt Havoc to knock Mudsdale out. Hapu then presents Ash with a choice of different Z crystals for winning as Pikachu picks Steelium Z, with Ash officially having won his final grand trial. As now their time on the island has come to an end, heading back on a boat that some secret new Pokemon have made their way onto through the ship's cargo hold, these little metal-looking creatures end up back with them, now eating all of the metal that they can on the island, finding some sort of trouble to get into. Like, how about a toolbox that the students are using, causing them to come across the odd thing, and after being poked and prodded enough, the little thing uses flash canning to free itself from them, as the students are confused as to what just happened. They then spot more of these creatures in the toolbox as they try and get a hold of them as they all get defensive, feeling a sense of danger. Once everyone in the room is able to calm down, Sophocles notices that his tools are gone, thinking that the creatures are eating them, testing this out to see if that's the case, as they all watch in curiosity. Sophocles grabs his electromagnet that pulls them all together, but they end up escaping and running off after Kiawe's heated-filled welcome to them has them worried it's too hot for them to be around. After a full day of this chase, Ash calls Professor Oak to tell him about this new mysterious Pokemon, supplying him with a bunch of data that he learned about it, with Oak being pretty impressed, as we then see one of the creatures has made its way into Ash's bag. The next day, Oak calls into Kukui explaining the Pokemon that they came across as a Meltan, with the kids at school continuing to look for all of them. But by the end of the day, Clefable comes up from the Ultra Guardian's base with all of the Meltan that hid down there that gave Clefable a bunch of trouble. The other missing Meltan was getting into a whole bunch of other shenanigans that happened with Rowlet, but eventually after dealing with all that, Rowlet ends up bringing the Meltan to where Ash is, as both Pokemon land and hug one another, and Ash sees that there's some sort of connection between the two and offers this Meltan a place on its team. The Meltan confirms with Rowlet that it is okay as it wants to join along on Ash's journey, with Ash then capturing the Meltan. It's time for another Ultra Guardians mission, as they have to go after the Ultra Beast named Pheromosa, as they successfully capture and release the beast back into Ultra Space where it came from, completing yet another mission.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Rattata!
As Ash gets a chance to train with Pikachu, they try using the new Steel-type Z Crystal with the Z move being Corkscrew Crash, with both of them being excited over the results thus far. Professor Kukui is set to make an announcement though as the class makes their way to the Ether Paradise to hear it. The whole thing is a big to-do, with the professor announcing the first ever Alolan Pokemon League being established in the region, with whoever wins getting a chance to claim the title of not just champion, but the first ever champion in Alola history, cementing their name in the history books. The long history of the kahunas of each island is sacred, but they all come together in full support of bringing in this new tradition. The Ether Foundation announces that they are building the stadium where this will all take place, ushering in a brand new battlefield, fresh for the competitors. Ash is pumped about this, with Kiawe sharing in those sentiments. The leader of Team Skull, Guzma, takes note of the announcement and vows to destroy the league, whatever that means. The next day, during class, Guzma shows up to the school grounds calling out Kukui, telling him to come outside to have a word with him, as this catches the attention of all the students, of course. Guzma thinks that he's the greatest thing since sliced potatoes, claiming to be the strongest trainer around. Kukui refuses to play into this yappin' and doesn't want to have a battle with him, but Ash does, as Guzma learns that Ash has passed all the grand trials across the islands, so he accepts Ash as a suitable battle opponent. Ash sends out Pikachu, with Guzma sending out his Golisopod, a pretty powerful Pokemon to go up against. With Pikachu not being able to do too much, Ash sets up the Z-move Corkscrew Crash, but to its surprise, the Golisopod deflects it, continuing on to poison Pikachu, really putting Ash in a bad position for this battle. Pikachu still fights through this, but eventually the Golisopod uses emergency exit and returns to its Pokeball, confusing Ash as the battle wasn't really over yet, but Guzma smugly says that his Pokemon deemed him too weak to entertain the battle any further. Ash and the professor tell him that's not how a battle works, and something like this would be considered forfeiting in any other official capacity. But Guzma's ego was unfortunately right, as we see Pikachu eventually collapsing. Guzma leaves for now, making the same vow to take down the new league with everyone watching. Lily and Gladion hold on to the belief that their father is somewhere out there alive, searching for any documents at the lab and not having any trace of where he could be or anything pointing them in the right direction. Professor Burnett mentions to them all that the search has just begun, giving everyone, especially Lusamine, a bit of comfort in the meantime. From there, she leads her children back to their mansion, Region as their butler reveals a hidden area that leads to a private workspace for their father. She gives the kids full access to it for now, in the effort of finding him. There, they find a non-operational Magearna, the man-made Pokemon, as it was meant to be a gift for Lily at some point if it were to work. For now though, the students all go on another field trip for a bit to a different city, where there they find a Cantonian gym. It's totally unofficial and just put together based on the interest in the Kanto region and just trying to act as if. But with Ash being from the region, he's definitely sus about them boasting about its authenticity. They eventually meet the gym leader Ryuki, who has a battle with Kiawe first, but he ends up losing as Ash gets a chance to have a gym battle as well, as it's been quite some time for him having an official gym battle. Well, I guess unofficial with this one. Ash sends out his Rowlet for the battle as Ryuki has his Zweilous take the field. Yeah, real Cantonian authentic here. Couldn't use any original 151 to stay on brand. Dragonair could have been a similar substitute, but hey, to each their own, I guess. With Rowlet getting hurt a bit in the battle, Meltan has this unrelenting care for it, rushing over to Ryuki and chewing on his metal outfit or eating it, however this mercury blob intakes nutrients. Ash goes and grabs Meltan, apologizing for the inconvenience, but Ryuki surprisingly likes the drive that this little thing has, requesting to change the battle to a double battle now and having Meltan take the field with Rowlet, as his Zweilous is joined by his Dredagon. Yeah, two seemingly more powerful and definitely larger Pokemon versus a starter Pokemon and a metal-eating little monster. Well, I've seen Ash come back from worse. Thanks to the nature of the battle, Rowlet is able to suddenly learn Brave Bird, offering a strong attack as Meltan goes to hug Rowlet afterwards in joy. Ash now has both Pokemon attack together with the combo of another Brave Bird attack and Flash Cannon, taking out both of Ryuki's Pokemon and officially winning this totally not real gym battle. Ash even earns a badge for doing so. It's just this dude's face on it, but hey, it's something, alright? But on the way back from the city, Meltan started snacking on the badge as Ash tries to recover whatever's going to be left of it. The Ultra Guardians end up going on their next mission, as it involves the Ultra Beast Kartana. Definitely one of the coolest ones, with it even solving its own issue of being in the Alola region, and this dimension in general, as the Ultra Guardians fail to capture it, as it can just slice up their beast balls, eventually opening up its own Ultra wormhole and leaving on its own. This could be a good thing, this could be a bad thing, but it surely was a thing. Just like that, their mission is over for now, so that's cool. But do you ever find yourself training with your Torracat and a random Celebi happens to fly by, get scared, and then try and time travel away from the area, sucking you and your medium-sized Firecat with it? No? Just Ash? Figures. Well, Ash now finds himself with his Torracat in the past meeting a younger Kukui. There, spending time with him, he eventually ends up talking about his previous journeys, going around and collecting badges, competing in regional Pokemon leagues, and Ash literally inceptions this young Kukui into having the dream to create a league for the Alola region. I mean, like, kind of. This isn't a dream where Ash implants the idea. He just goes to the past and does so my reference still counts. Smash that like button or I'll literally cry. Celebi does bring Ash and Torracat back to their correct time in history, so all is well. Speaking of time, as it continues to pass, the construction of the new stadium is complete, along with the announcement that whoever wins also gets to have an exhibition battle with the Masked Royale. How exciting. As far as Lily and Gladion's efforts in finding their father, Gladion ends up noticing his father Zoroark, as it was previously thought to have run off, but it has allowed Gladion to decloak it from its illusion, showing Gladion a touching moment from their past with his father and their whole family. Zoroark has a love for Gladion and his family, as he asks the reunited Pokemon to come with him and help look for his dad, bowing down to Gladion and wanting to help out in any way possible. Preparing for the league now, all of the trainers begin meeting up at the stadium, including Hau, whose Dartrix has now evolved into a Decidueye. Guzma shows up as well, as Kukui confronts him about why he's here, with him just doing what the league offers, joining in and revealing that his plan is to become champion, earning that title, and then making sure another league wouldn't happen again. This would literally destroy Kukui's dream, and that's what he wants. Hala explains to the others that at one point both Kukui and Guzma were both apprentices studying under him, as they both feel responsible for not being able to save him from himself, as he didn't respect the traditions and often broke the rules, running away from his responsibilities to become strong on his own, leading him down the path to where he is now. But for now, the conference is about to start, with the Masked Royale explaining that all of the participants champions will partake in this free-for-all, as the 16 finalists left standing being set into the brackets for the full-on tournament. 151 competitors take place all around the field, as this free-for-all is literally just all of them sending out their partner Pokemon and just going battle crazy, while trying to survive every battle opportunity. I kind of like this chaos. In fact, I wish it was even more chaotic. As the time goes by, more and more trainers become eliminated, narrowing down who is going to make it to the official tournament itself. A lot of familiar faces make it to the starting round though, like Ash, Gladion, Guzma, Samson Oak, Hau, both Jesse and James, along with other classmates of Ash. The first round matchup for Ash ends up being Faba of all people. Right off the bat, Faba cheats, as he is going to use his Hypno in battle while Ash was going to send in Pikachu, but he sneakily has Hypno pull one of Ash's balls forward to send out Meltan instead. But the little blob loves the crowd in the arena, so Ash lets Meltan battle if it wants to. This battle starts going poorly for Faba really fast, as his Hypno was trying to use Hypnosis, but Meltan runs in and latches onto its pendulum and just won't let go, melting a bit of it and ruining it, much to Hypno's sadness. In this bewildered state, Ash has Meltan use Flash Cannon that knocks out Hypno, with Ash winning and moving forward in the tournament, despite Faba trying to protest what just happened, even though you literally cheated in the beginning, buddy. As the rest of the starting round is going on for the other trainers, we finally conclude with the top 8 winners being sorted into their next matchups, as Ash will be facing off against Hau in the next round. In some downtime, with Rowlet knowing it'll be facing off against Decidueye, Rowlet asks a random Wingull to fly over to its old group of birds it lived with, and wants Wingull to bring them here. In doing so, the Pikapek, Trumbeak, and Toucanon group head over to witness Rowlet in action. Although Ash would be smart to use his Torracat in this next battle, Ash believes in his Rowlet, as this small owl is excited and ready for the challenges. And it's spherical. Spherical! As the birds arrive, Rowlet gets a moment to say hello to its found family, as they try and help teach Rowlet a new move, with that being Feather Dance. They also bring Rowlet a little gift, a snug little outfit that has Rowlet resembling a little Decidueye. I said little too much in that sentence, but I don't care. They hope this outfit helps Rowlet be focused and determined in battle, as they want to see their old pal do well and be encouraged to win. Ash and Hau take the field as they begin their battle, sending out their respective owls as they waste no time in sending in attacks at one another, with Ash trying to use the Bloom Doom Z move with Rowlet super early on. But Hau predicted this, as he has Decidueye shoot an arrow sticking Rowlet to the ground, as Hau uses the Deciduum Z Crystal, causing the Decidueye to send out the special to it only Z move, Sinister Arrow Raid, showing a direct hit on Rowlet. Or was it? As Rowlet reveals itself to be okay, and that it used that outfit it was wearing to act as a dummy stand-in. Some view this moment as Ash potentially having a small cheating scandal. Nope, not that type of cheating scandal, but regardless, Nanu, who's judging, just comes and takes the outfit off the field and away from Rowlet for now as the battle continues. The owls are back at it, going after each other, including some close knockout scares, but this one's okay, because Rowlet was just sleeping. And eventually, Rowlet's Brave Bird attack is able to knock out the Decidueye, leaving Ash the winner of this match as he gets to move on to the next round. Both Ash and Hau thank each other for a great match, looking forward to battling once again in the future. After the rest of the battles, we get down to the final 4 trainers, with Kiawe having to now go against Gladion, and Ash will now have to go and face Guzma. Kiawe does his best in his battle, but Gladion ends up victorious, and is now waiting for the winner of the other battle for the finals. With Ash feeling the pressure to defeat Guzma here, not just for advancing himself to the finals, but to stop Guzma's plans of becoming champion and destroying the league Kukui has always wanted to create. Ash and Guzma head to the field now, with Guzma sending out his Scizor, as Ash decides to go with Torracat. Guzma sucks, and here's why. Having another Pokemon that can pull itself out of the battle or force a substitution. I hate this. I hate Guzma, and I hate... No, that's it. I just hate those two things. Scizor's U-turn move sends Golisopod out to battle, and Torracat is getting in some good attacks. Golisopod, though, uses emergency exit when Torracat sends a Fire Blast heading its way, forcing a swap as Scizor comes out and gets hit directly by the Fire Blast, knocking it out, much to Guzma's rage over what Golisopod just did, forcing it now to come back out and face Ash again. Golisopod, though, makes up for costing Scizor a loss by knocking out Torracat as Ash sends in Pikachu to battle. Pikachu displays a strong moveset, constantly throwing his most powerful attacks at Golisopod, even using the Gigavolt Havoc Z move, but the Golisopod withstands stands at all. During this, Guzma enters into some deep self-reflection though, specifically regarding his own past, as the two Pokemon then collide some strong hits together, but Pikachu remains the Pokemon standing in the end, leaving Guzma officially defeated and Ash the victor heading to the finals. Guzma then leaves quietly, not replying to Kukui even though he invites him to still partake in the challenge next year, just as a form of a reach out to build some bridges back between them. Ash and Gladion prepared to now face each other in battle for the title of champion.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Persian!
Ash's mom, along with Mimey and Professor Oak, fly in to witness Ash's championship battle. On top of this, Ash's Meltan has all the other Meltan from earlier fuse into it as it evolves into Melmetal, this way larger hulking beast of metal and Mel. I don't even get the joke. Ash is super excited about this as the next day the battle takes place. Both trainers make their way to the field as they start off strong, with Gladion sending out Savali and Ash sending out his new Melmetal. When we are talking about power levels, these two Pokemon are top of the class right now. The only difference is that Melmetal is a lot less experienced here, not really knowing its own power or how to control it to a high capacity. Whereas Savali was born for this, literally. This thing was created to be powerful, and has a lot of experience under its belt, its face belt. The one that broke earlier to be you get it. While Melmetal gets some favorable blows in, Savali was just quicker and stronger, knocking Melmetal out, giving Gladion the first round lead. Ash sends Pikachu out next, or rather he sends himself out, as he is pumped up more than ever for this. Using a combo of his speed and power, Pikachu shoots out an Electro Web, rushing towards it, using it like a springboard to gain an even faster momentum, launching into an Iron Tail that takes Savali out. Gladion sends out his Lycanroc next, but something seems off. I knew that something was off the moment that Pikachu hits it with a Thunderbolt, as then it was revealed that it was Zoroark all along, just using an illusion. I mean, of course I knew, right as it happened. Things were weird specifically in that moment. I'm a genius, but not according to my SAT scores. Psh, what do they know? Gladion activates his Ghostium Z Crystal to have Zoroark use the Z move Never Ending Nightmare, that quickly comes towards Pikachu, making a judgment call now as Ash activates one of his crystals to have Pikachu use the Z move Breakneck Blitz to counter, causing an explosion on the field, with both Pokemon ending up being knocked out from this, leaving the trainers with one Pokemon left each, as they now send out their respective forms of Lycanroc. Both doggos seem evenly matched, fiercely facing off, landing some blows, but dodging and countering a bunch of moves in both directions. In a final standoff, Ash's Lycanroc charges in with Gladion's Lycanroc countering it, connecting a blow with Ash's Lycanroc, but it was ready to immediately counter the counter, catching Gladion's Lycanroc off guard and sent it flying into a wall, knocking it out, with Ash being declared the winner, as he not only officially has won the Alola League, but his first league ever. Oh, and he's the first ever champion in Alola now, which is also pretty cool. Yeah, he should have won his first league victory in the previous generation when he was at his peak, but it's still a cool moment. But just you wait until the next generation, it becomes bigger than just a league then. Ash right now is just in shock from winning, finally achieving this dream of an accomplishment on his journey to be a Pokemon Master. Gladion congratulates Ash as he hopes that they can battle again one day, with Ash looking forward to it. I mean, at this point, I think Ash just owes so many people battles, because every time he beats someone in a battle, like, hey, we should fight again sometime, and then sometimes they do, and oftentimes they don't. At night, the award ceremony begins as the Mass Royale gets on stage, presenting Ash with his trophy, but Professor Burnett is bummed to see that Kukui is nowhere to be found and is missing this really important moment for Ash. Ash gets his trophy and looks forward to the exhibition match with the Mass Royale tomorrow. And then everything goes to crap because it's been too long for it not to. An Ultra Wormhole appears overhead with none other than a Guzzlord making its way through to ruin the party. Ash, along with his classmates Gladion, Hau, and the Mass Royale, all prepared to fend off the Guzzlord. Remembering what Dia told him, Ash explains that its real weakness is the smaller face that sits atop of the belly mouth. First, they begin helping getting people out of the stadium, but things are about to get much worse as more Ultra Wormholes appear, this time bringing in 2 shiny Guzzlords. Why? Because why not? You know, this is kind of epic. It reminds me of those multiple kaiju spawning events in Pacific Rim, and we're now just getting to them dealing with the Guzzlords in the water, feeling even more like Pacific Rim. All we need is a robot or a mech to make it feel more complete. Oh wow, Team Rocket, you shouldn't have. No, seriously, you really shouldn't have. As all of this chaos is happening, the island kahunas jump in to help alongside them all, with Gladion knocking one of them off balance so Kiawe and Hao can launch attacks at its smaller head. The Guzzlord protects itself, but Hao has Decidueye hold it in place for a moment from going anywhere, but that doesn't hold for long. This is the pure chaos I live for, especially for this part of the Pokemon journey through the generations. You have my full attention. Eventually, through working together, the island kahunas use their Z moves in unison to send the original Guzzlord back into an Ultra Wormhole, with Gladion doing the same with his smaller group combining their Z moves to send one of the shiny Guzzlords back through an Ultra Wormhole as well. All that is left is the final shiny Guzzlord to deal with, but the Ultra Wormhole closes, leaving Ash and the Master Royale worried about what to do. But then, a large stinger pokes through the sky, forcing open a new wormhole, as out comes a Naganadel, specifically Ash's previous Poipole that evolved into a Naganadel. In the time since they've been apart, clearly growing to become the protector of its species in its world. Ash is excited to see his old friend return and seeing it become so much more powerful, but they still have to face a big white problem, and I'm not talking about me. The Master Royale suggests to Ash that they both send in Pikachu and Naganadel with their Electrium Z crystal power, charging them up as they have both Pokemon use Gigavolt Havoc together as the Ultra Beast tries to counter, causing this jolt of energy blowback ripping off the Master Royale's mask. But the power from the Gigavolt Havoc attacks overpowers Guzzlord and sends it through the wormhole, as they are all excited over their victory. Ash gets caught off guard and shocked to see the now unmasked Royale, revealing that he is in fact Professor Kukui, as he still hasn't realized that his mask is gone at first, until noticing Ash is reacting to that specific fact. After they all calm down from this and Ash is just excited that he gets to battle the Professor, Naganadel joins Ash's team again, so that Ash can have a full team for that battle. The next day arrives as Ash and the Master Royale enter in for their battle, as the Master Royale ends up revealing to everyone the whole entire world that this whole time he was Professor Kukui. No one is more shocked than his wife, Professor Burnett, but at least it makes sense why he wasn't around for Ash to receive his trophy. He was the one literally giving Ash his trophy. Burnett comes to speak with Kukui before the match, as she feels kinda silly for not realizing this in the first place, being such a fan of the Master Royale while literally being married to the man behind the mask. Either way, she knows now and gives him some well wishes for the battle. They both enter onto the field as Ash sends out his Torracat to start things off, with Kukui sending out his Incineroar for a fiery feline fluff, aka a cat fight. I'm not going to make that joke. This face-off though leaves Torracat pretty worn out and even injured quite a bit thanks to Incineroar's immense power, so Ash calls it back for now, sending out Lycanroc. Once Lycanroc can score some pretty strong hits, leaving Incineroar injured a bit as well, Kukui switches Pokemon, bringing to the field his Braviary. Lycanroc lasts as long as it can, but Braviary just leaves it too hurt for it to stay up in the fight, fainting from having no more power or strength left to battle. Ash sends out his Rowlet to make this a bit more fair of a flying-based fight, especially since Rowlet knows Brave Bird, and is able to move around really well in the fight, dodging attacks and landing a final Brave Bird blow on the Braviary, knocking it out. Kukui next sends out his Venusaur, who uses its vines to defeat Rowlet fairly quickly. As this back and forth knockout match continues, Ash brings out Torracat once again to help against Venusaur. Using its fire-based attacks, Venusaur becomes a lot easier of a target to battle, and eventually burn up, defeating it with a Fire Blast. Ash recalls Torracat again, waiting for Incineroar to call it back out, with Kukui having Empoleon enter the field for now, with Pikachu jumping in to fight this large ice penguin. Empoleon puts up a strong fight for Pikachu, even seemingly being in the lead when it comes to damage taken and strength left. With Pikachu a bit hurt and dazed, Ash swaps it out for Melmetal, as the big lug of nuts charges in to take Empoleon out. Kukui then sends Incineroar back out, as the wrestling Firecat is able to defeat Melmetal. You know, we learned earlier, it just doesn't like fire. With Kukui waiting for the Firecats to have a fiery battle later, he swaps out to Lucario, with Ash sending out Naganadel, with us already knowing from many past experiences that Lucario is a very tough competitor. Naganadel gets its time to shine though, working with Ash for its first time in this evolutionary form, and revealing just how powerful of an Ultra Beast it is, keeping up with Lucario's moves as it's then able to overwhelm Lucario with its stingers, ending off with Dragon Pulse knocking Lucario out, with Ash happy that it got to win, as both the Professor and Ash agree that it is time. Ash now swaps back out Torracat once again to face Incineroar. The battle here gets so intense, with Torracat giving its all in the battle, being able to find the strength to knock Incineroar back, dealing some heavy blows to it. And with both of them eventually getting too worn out, they jump at each other with one more powerful attack, colliding and causing a big explosion as the two try their best to still stand afterwards. But Incineroar can't hold itself up for too long, falling to the ground as Torracat celebrates the victory with a loud roar as it then evolves into its own Incineroar as a surprise way to end things off, and then it passes out. Great. And speaking of surprises, Kukui has one final surprise, as Kukui pulls a "now here's something we think you'll really like," with Tapu Koko entering into the area to act as Kukui's final Pokemon. Ash sends out Naganadel to face the Guardian Pokemon, but Tapu Koko isn't here for this Pokemon, taking out Naganadel and waiting for Ash to send out his final Pokemon, Pikachu. With the battle underway, Tapu Koko wants Kukui to use the power of the Z-Ring, but he can't, already doing so a lot earlier. In response, the Guardian summons the rest of the Tapus to the fight, as they all begin to harmonize, with Ash and Kukui now having the power to use a Z-move each again, and granting Kukui with a special Tapunium Z crystal that it needs for a special attack. Performing the right pose, Kukui helps unlock a long-stored ancient power that changes Tapu Koko into this giant force to be reckoned with. But also thanks to Tapu Koko, Ash's Electrium Z transforms back into Pikachu's specific Z crystal, and this time permanently. Ash launches Pikachu to use the Z-move 10 million volt Thunderbolt, as the Pokemon clash their powers together, with Ash and Pikachu pushing as hard as they can with all their energy, as they then find themselves in this white mystery void, where they get to spend a moment together, recognize and reflect on their journey, the challenges that they've faced, the people that they have met, and the bonds between Pokemon that have occurred. And with this strength, Pikachu and Ash are able to overcome Tapu Koko, with a bright light blinding the area for a moment, as afterwards Tapu Koko lands on the ground and passes out, leaving Ash the victor of the exhibition match, being able to finally best the Island Guardian in battle after all this time. Tapu Lele sprinkles some of its healing dust over the area to help the trainers and their Pokemon feel a lot better and all healed up, as Kukui is proud of Ash, but warns him not to get too cocky over this in a joking manner, but Ash takes the advice to heart, feeling the respect from the professor. As the craziness of the journey begins to wrap up, Ash says goodbye to Naganadel, as it heads back home to its dimension, with all the students now sharing their wants and goals in life, all of which seem really cool, but Lana's here is the best, as she wants to go and find a Manaphy, which is my personal favorite Pokemon. Yeah, that's right, I make the rules here. Who do you think you are? I am. Kiawe even wants a nice final and friendly battle with Ash, as they didn't get a chance to face each other in the league itself. Ash ends up the winner though, as he now plans on heading back home to Pallet Town, eager to start a new adventure, one that may take him beyond just being constricted to one location. The endgame is near. Nebby returns for a moment to say goodbye to Ash, which is just cool to see Solgaleo again, while Lily ends up with Magearna coming back to life thanks to their father Zoroark, with them now departing as a family to go and look for their dad, and in Lusamine's case, her husband. And remember that Shaman? Well, Shaman also says goodbye here to Mallow, as it's now the right season where Shaman can change into its sky form as it heads back out into the wild. But the final kicker, we get the announcement of an in the womb kicker, as Professor Burnett says that she is in fact pregnant.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Salandit!
You know, the Sun and Moon series is definitely one for the books, whether you fondly remember it for your own sense of nostalgia or for various other reasons, like just enjoying or being put off from the drastically different look to the series, holding you back from giving these 3 seasons of the anime a chance. While it definitely has its shortcomings, there were a lot of really great memorable moments that the Sun and Moon arc displayed, going in further to discuss dealing with death and learning to let go of the pain inside to make room to house the best memories you had together. Plus, the Ultra Beasts were really cool, but admittedly, taking Ash and his class to become these pseudo-superhero guardians, equipped with these colorful jumpsuits, was definitely a choice that I'll give some more personal credit to, as it led to us seeing lots of Ultra Beasts, and some cool battle moments that got to drag us away from the more chill slice-of-life nature the show had, as the true issue of the series really being the struggle it has with tonality. As the 2 genres, the action and adventure and the slice of life here, were played around in Enough so that the ride the show took us on felt like it was going too fast up and down between them, never finding its perfect balance, needing to space out or flow them together. But other than that, having several episodes that feature Brock and Misty were a lot of fun, especially for fans of the original generation anime. But for now, let's take a look at Ash's Pokemon from this generation. Pikachu has a somewhat similar season as last season, not really being the main focus here, but the main difference that does give Pikachu the edge and importance here was the training and performance with the power of Z moves, giving Pikachu some great battle finishers, and even some world-saving ones too. I wouldn't say that Ash and Pikachu grew all that much together any more than they were at the start, but like I said, there are some awesome breakthrough moments here with Pikachu that do have them as a duo shine brightly in this series. I don't just want to gloss past or overlook that. For Rowlet, Ash ended up spending a good amount of time working with it to become stronger, learn more moves, and overall give off some fun and goofy vibes during the lighter moments, with a lot of what the little round owl does aiding into the comedy aspect of the Sun and Moon series. I also like the aspect of the found family it has with those other birds that we don't just ditch at the start of the series, with them being referenced to or seen throughout, and even having a nice moment at the end during the Alola League. I feel that Rockruff was the one Pokemon Ash spent the most amount of time with, working to train it to become stronger, eventually evolving into a Lycanroc, a special one at that, as they struggle with the rage that it holds, as they learn to fully trust each other and work together to pull off a lot of incredible moments, and deliver some strong strategies in battle, with it becoming one of the more reliant Pokemons for Ash to use in battle. Litten offered my personal favorite story, both with all of the Stoutland stuff, but as well with Ash's training to help carry on where Stoutland left off, being able to share in the joy of the Fire Cat becoming an even stronger Torracat, and ending things off with its most heated battle yet, where in the end, it became Incineroar. His own little Ultra Beast Poilpole was a cute addition to Ash's team, that ended up playing a bigger factor in helping within the main dilemma the region faced in the second season, but left from there only to come back a stronger evolved form as Naganadel to help with some Ultra Beast problems, and even getting to battle alongside Ash. Not much more can really be pulled from this, as overall their time was more short-lived together, but it was still a cool Pokemon to see be a part of the story. Finally, there is Meltan. And what is there to really say? This little blob was just a cute and funny addition to Ash's team later on in the series that, to be fair, had some cool moments in battle at both stages of just being a small Meltan and a large and not so in charge just yet Melmetal. This was another generation where Ash had a very small team, not even having a full party by the end of it when he had to face Kukui, only reaching that 6th number once Naganadel comes back. While some of the Pokemon were definitely interesting on his team, I feel like comparatively to a lot of the other series, Ash just didn't focus on catching as many Pokemon, and even when he did try and fail a bunch, he just kind of gives up, moves on to the next day, forgets he tried to ever catch one of those type of Pokemon, and they just go off scot-free. But I do feel that the next series may, kind of rectify a lot of those issues. But with this being a bit more slice of life than Pokemon is used to, there was a lot of time to focus on the side characters this series. And that's because there were a lot of characters aside from Ash in general. I really don't know how to approach this part for this generation, as I'd say that Ash doesn't really have any 1 or 2 or even 3 traveling companions, as it would either be these one-off moments with random characters from the Pokemon school tagging along for parts of an episode with Ash, or it would be all of the class together. Sun and Moon did spend a lot of time establishing who they all are, fleshing out their separate inside stories, and sure, while Ash may have been around, he wasn't the focus nor too important to who and what we were focusing on. Gladion overall gave Ash a lot of cool moments, starting off mysterious and edgy, to becoming a somewhat reluctant team player and still edgy, but along with his sister Lily, their stories and eventual crossing of one main goal played out less with Ash having anything to really do with it, aside from learning all about what's going on and just trying to be a good friend when and where he can. If anything, Professor Kukui became the most important side character for Ash to interact with, as well as learn and grow from. And thanks to some random time travel, Ash has an even closer connection to Kukui than anyone would have ever thought. It was definitely weird to have a series where Ash feels like he's on his own, yet having so many different friends and side characters that are all around him. But for the most part, we did get a bunch of just Ash, and his journey, with so many bonus stories with the other characters that we barely scratched the surface of, that all dig deep into their own stuff. Stuff that, while I think is fantastic, I just didn't include within the video. I mean, the video series is called Ash's Journey after all, so stop yelling at me when I don't dig too far deep into everything that happens with every character ever introduced. But now, with the Alola region behind us, we get to enter into the final stretch for Ash's Pokemon journey. After 7 previous generations, the next part of the anime series, Pokemon Journeys, gives us a new take on how traveling throughout the Pokemon regions can be done. No longer just keeping us in one area, having the freedom to travel all around the Pokemon world. With a special new companion that is interesting to follow as well, this next series allows us to explore and revisit many friends from the franchise's past as Ash works on becoming the next Pokemon World Champion, not just a league champion, as we begin sunsetting Ash's adventure in general. So join me next time as we explore all of this in part 8 of our complete guide to Ash's Pokemon journey. I've been Jordan Fringe, thanks for watching, like and subscribe. Later.